Hello and welcome to episode number 18 of the Wise Guys podcast. Today's going to be an awesome episode. I'm John Tortorelli with my co-host Brand Capizzello and one of my favorite people in the world, Romain Davis. Romain, many people may not know you for who you are on YouTube, but you are FLB for love of basketball. You make some really awesome NBA content. We've been linked up.
Thank you.
We've been linked up now talking
Over
about
a year.
content. Yeah.
Over a year.
Since January of 2021, maybe?
I met you
After my rocket video that blew up, right?
Yeah, and I met you when I was like 200 subs, and
That's
I think
crazy.
you were at like 800 at the time.
Yeah,
That's been a good year. Yeah, that's been a good year now.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's been a
Low-key, the
while.
growth has been slow because you're like 200 to like 3K. It's like not crazy, but like genuinely, that's like 10 times the original audience. That's insane for a year.
Yeah, that rocket video did me wonders. Shout out to rocket fans. Do they love the content talking about their
That's the
rebuild?
video I found you from, and I looked at him like, damn, this is Loki really good at this. Hold on.
Yeah, I just gotta get more consistent on my main channel. I'm adding a little bit for Pick a Side, then I do this podcast. But speaking of today's episode, real quick, that's what we're here for. We're gonna be talking about LeBron James's newest extension, ranking Eastern contenders. That'll be a lot of fun. Would Giannis leave the Milwaukee Bucks? After his comments, we're gonna react to the Christmas Day schedule, which I felt like left some stuff to be desired. And then we're gonna do an 03 NBA redraft. Well, lottery edition or top 10, either or, and then we'll finish it all off with check
Top
up
10
right
is way
after.
too. I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking at that. Top 10 is way too easy.
Yeah, okay, we go to lottery if you guys are down. I don't want to keep it too long, but yeah, that's always a fun class, and it's perfect theme for today's episode. Yeah, I love Rocket fans. Fortunately, they only had to deal with the Warriors and not LeBron James at his peak. But speaking of the man LeBron James, yesterday, after being eligible for his extension since August 3rd, it's been a little bit over 2 weeks, signed a 2-year, $97 million deal to stay in Los Angeles. I have a question for both of you guys. Romain, I want to ask you first. Will LeBron win another title in LA?
I'm gonna give it him signing a 2-year deal lets me know that there has to be some like plan. Palinka or Lakers has been able to at least sell him on some type of plan because he's not the type to make decisions that aren't that he can't see the good in the long run. And right now, obviously, after this contract's over, that's the year he decides to sign anywhere with Bronny. And the Lakers didn't want to there's been reports that the Lakers didn't want to trade that pick because they didn't know what LeBron's future was going to be there. So now that he's there, I think that gives him like full authority to like making a decision because he's not going to be KD and just want to dip out next year because he doesn't like it anymore. So I think genuinely they're probably gonna make the moves. Probably do go after Kyrie. And to be honest, Kyrie, AD, and LeBron on the same team, the supporting cast may not be too crazy, but I'm never putting it past those three. Kyrie would fit way too better on that Lakers team than Russ did. So right now, I think they definitely have it. I'm gonna give it a good 50-50, to be honest. I'm not even gonna say I'm not even gonna be any. I'm gonna give it a good 50. I think if you get him in a good year where LeBron can go back to that 2020 year where he's not the focal point on offense anymore, so he can like lock in on defense. He's the main playmaker, and you just have Kyrie and AD just focused on scoring, especially. Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting LeBron as your second best player. I'm definitely getting that. I'll definitely do that in my life.
Brandon, what do you think? Because I
For
disagree.
no, I mean, I was the one. I mean, we've talked about it before, John, on here. You were the one who was saying LeBron's not. I think you even gave like a little PSA to Lakers fans. LeBron's not winning another title in LA, and I was on the side where you can't count LeBron. I'm never going to count LeBron out. And then you tell me, like I said to you, the Lakers, they've got a move in their back pocket somewhere, a move that they're going to pull out. And I believe, like Romain said, it's going to be Kyrie. They're going to pull that deal off. They're going to somehow get it done. How? I
That's
don't
the shit
know.
that pisses me off, though. I mean, we're a big Miami's a big market too, so I understand we get the same type of leverage sometimes because that's one reason we're able to sign LeBron and Chris Bosh at the same time. It's not just because Dewey's here, but big market teams like the Lakers can make horrible freaking mistakes. Like shit that should kill your franchise for the next like 5 to 10 years. And just because they're the Lakers and they have certain players on their team, they can get out of that like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you saw what happened when they gave Kobe that big deal towards the end of his career. and then it kind of strapped him when he retired. They went through a little rough patch for those couple of years
Yeah,
until
but yeah, but
LeBron came.
in that rough patch, they drafted Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, and D'Angelo Russell, and
Yep.
were able to trade literally for LeBron and AD and win a championship within the next like 5 years ever since Kobe signed that contract. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I'll trade all of them again for a ring. I'm not, bro. If
No, I agree.
D'Angelo Russell, if he doesn't win a ring in Minnesota, if Julius Randle ain't winning shit in New York, if New Orleans doesn't win a ring with Brandon Ingram, nobody won that trade other than LA.
Yeah, I was on
No,
pick
no, they
side yet. You kick it.
Oh, sorry. No, the Lakers 100% won the deals that they made. But for me, it's with like I said, if you tell me Kyrie, LeBron, and AD are all on the court together, I mean they're right there as the best team in the West and
I'll
best team in
take
the NBA. They're right there. I mean, like you said, Romain, you got LeBron as your lead playmaker. AD and Kyrie are carrying the offensive load, really the scoring part, and then AD playing high level defense. I mean, I give and then I mean I know the supporting cast has to be solid.
That's
I
it
not.
think
is
the
solid
Lakers
though. It is solid though. I'm not
it,
gonna
it
lie, it
it
is
is, and
solid.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, there obviously they could use some some a little more shooting, but there's shooters out there that you can find
But
for a vet minimum level contract.
I know what people said last year, but this year there's no reason they shouldn't be a playoff team. There's no reason they shouldn't be.
Yeah,
Right now, the supporting cast is a lot younger and they're way more focused on defense than it is offense. And to be honest, even though last year was focused on offense and not defense, the offense still wasn't producing. So at least this year, you have at least a clear direction of what's going to be your focal point as a team, which is definitely going to be defense for them. And right now, whether it's Russ in or Russ out, I still expect them to make the playoffs. I don't expect them to get anywhere out the first round if it's Russ. If it's anybody other, if it's Kyrie though, that creates not only way more spacing, but that fast break offense. Kyrie's a way better finisher around the rim. He's a way better three-level scorer. He makes far better
he's basically better everywhere.
right now. Yeah,
Yeah, right now. I'm not,
Oh,
yeah,
Kyrie
except for
clears
probably
right now.
rebounding.
yeah. He's a bet.
And
Yeah, but yeah,
I
you don't
who
need Russ.
care? That's what I've been saying on this pod. Like, rebounding from a guard is meaningless. And like, yeah, it's impressive he can do that to attain a triple double. But for me, what I care about when I'm watching a basketball game is can you win? And quite frankly, what that shows is Russell's limitations as an offensive player coincide with his temptation to just go for rebounds when they don't need his.
Overcompensates.
That's a good way to word it. Now, here's my thing. With Russell Westbrook on this team, let's say he is not moved in the next few weeks. I believe they're a 45 win team flat if they can get 55 games from LeBron and 55 from AD. And the reason why is because last year it wasn't just the Russell Westbrook trade that caused them to the playoffs. It was the fact they didn't want to play for Frank Vogel. Now you look at them this year, they get a players coach, a former player that's learned something from each of his stops. And I'm not sure if he was in San Antonio, but then Atlanta with Mike Budenholzer and Milwaukee. And he's well respected. He already has a title coming in. He's younger. And let's just say it how it is. He's one of the toughest dudes, both as a player and as a coach. He's not going to put up with BS. Now, the interesting thing here is, well, he doesn't want to deal with BS. He has the biggest load to handle in the NBA, which is Russell Westbrook if he's on the team. You had those two personalities, and I think Darvin Ham can get the buy-in from almost any player as a rookie head coach. But there's one player, if there's any that would push him to the limit, it would be Russ. Just because through his career, we've never seen him be malleable. He had that one year in Houston where we saw moments of it playing off ball, and he made an impact as a cutter. But outside that season, where it's partially hampered by injury and COVID, we just haven't seen that from Russ, and that is what's the self-limiting factor on this team.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like he's always the um, ever since I'm gonna give him 26. Ever since 2016, he's been the common denominator of why things don't work. And I'm even part of the group of people that will never ever slander him for getting a triple double because with him, his team's winning and him getting a triple double has always coincided. So I have no problem with that, specifically, especially for a guard like him that when he gets the rebound, he's off to the races, and that's like a one-man fast break. Or if when you have something like LeBron on your team, that's a two-on-one instantly. But like right now, that's you having you having a triple double also means that you're having control of the ball majority of the time on this team. You shouldn't have the ball more than LeBron at any point in the game. Never. So that's the problem with him. And like ever since 2017, uh, won an MVP, but he was buying him damn self. And if there's one thing the man's been good at in his entire career, fantastic floor raiser. One of the best floor raisers the league's ever seen. Ceiling raiser though, oh. Then with OKC again with PG there, PG had his best career year with Russ, which is a lot common for a lot of stars to have their best offensive season with Russ on the team, which is shows that he's a pretty good teammate and he's definitely a good playmaker. Just makes some boneheaded decisions sometimes. Then 2018 again production dropped all the way to hell. 2019 even with Houston 2019 2020 even with Houston at the time, yeah, he made some adjustments in the game to cut more with James Harden, but that's because they traded away every single freaking big on the roster. Like you still have to make a gigantic change in philosophy that the league's never seen to incorporate Russ for him to be as good as possible. And at the end of the day, look what LA did. You made the same. That's why I don't understand why they traded for him. You literally won a series by doing the one thing where you just left them open, and you traded for the guy that you literally just left open and literally whooped their ass because that was the thing you did. And I understand he was injured, but he couldn't hit an open shot to save his life. So it's like it was a boneheaded decision to even sign him in the first place. Now it's they have to sit with this, but it pisses me off that they're not gonna have to sit with it for much longer.
I agree with you on that. It's crazy how that works. But what you just said, you're a goal in there. That's where I'm wrong about Russell Westbrook, I'll admit. You definitely did not see the video where I completely slandered him because I basically said you can't win with this guy because he has won. Let me think.
I agree with you on that one. I don't think he can be a number one on the championship team.
Yeah, and when you look at the talent he's had around him, he's played with the best player of his era in LeBron, didn't make the playoffs. Second best in KD, top 10 in PG. Kawhi would have been another option, but Kawhi didn't want to play with him because in the last 6 years, since Kevin Durant left him, last 7 years, this dude has won a total of 1 playoff series. And correlation doesn't always mean causation.
That's another thing. Damn, you got beaten by a rookie Donovan Mitchell. It's crazy.
Those moments are so embarrassing.
Especially with like PG and Melo on the team. That's wild.
Yeah, I think Melo didn't really help them in that series. Definitely,
he was negative, but
he was attacked like Swiss cheese on that defensive end of the ball. But that being said, part of the reason I'm so hard on him is because he couldn't even get out of the first round as number one. But you said he is an all-time floor raiser, and I agree. He can take any team to the playoffs. We just saw Washington. But the ceiling is so low with him as your number one, you feel me? And as number two, he's not really that additive force as an offensive player. And defensively, that effort hasn't been there in a long time. And that's what's so frustrating about his entire career.
To be a coherent number two in the NBA anymore, I think you have to be a reliable three-point shooter. Because as a number one, if you're not a good three-point shooter, but you can handle the ball to a respectable amount and you can put pressure on the defense or work out of the post, like a Giannis, like a LeBron, even though LeBron is a pretty good three-point shooter now, I think if the guy on your team, let's say if you have between two offensive options, the guy that's not the three-point shooter has to be the number one or has to have the ball in his hands majority of the time, because if he's not off ball, he can't do much.
Yeah.
So for a guy like Russ, where he's supposed to be the secondary ball handler and also a secondary scorer, sometimes a third tertiary scorer, like LA found some things that work, like him being in the dunker spot, him being the pick and roll partner with LeBron as a ball handler. It worked, but he doesn't want to do that. He always wants the ball in his hands. It's like this mentality is the shit that holds him back. But overall, as an offense, as a player entirely, I'm not gonna say, because with KD, there's so many things that screw with them that they didn't want to chip, because I guarantee you, 2012 when Patrick Beverly ran into his knee?
I think it was 2013, round
one of those
versus
years,
the Rockets. Yeah,
the year
2013.
after they traded James Harden. So yeah,
That was
2013.
2013.
Yep.
Yeah, that year that they still won 60 games and the Spurs were able to go to the finals, but that's because Russ again got injured. And it's like that's a year that I think they could have won a championship. 2016, they definitely should have beaten the Warriors at that time. KD got the foot injury that one year. Like, there's just so many reasons why that pair didn't win. So I'm not gonna harp on them too much. But I think that those were the best years where he was a good number two. Now at the tail end of his career, when his shooting's never gotten better, his athleticism is only declining, his finishing is only slowly getting worse. And since he can't put that much pressure on the rim, he's forced to make dumb decisions in the pick and roll sometimes that leads to a bunch of turnovers. At this point, he has to come off the bench. He has to be the leader of the second unit, and I think he just feels he has way too much pride to do that right now. Because what is he,
Mhm.
like 32 or 33?
He's 34.
Damn,
Turning 34 in November.
damn, that generation's gone. That's crazy. That
Makes me
sucks.
feel old.
Yeah, that generation's gone, bro. Those are all the guys that grew up watching. That's crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, as his athleticism slowly declines, even and it's crazy that it's still to this level at this age. But he's really improved and nothing else. I'm not gonna say not improved. No, I'm gonna say it. That jumper's gotten worse. That
Yep.
mid-range jumper was so good for a couple
Free
years. It's
throw
only gotten
shooting.
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that. He
No,
was a
Free throw
80
shooting
plus
is
percent
dropped
free
from
throw
the thing
guy.
freaking.
about
I
the
mean, he used to be a 80% free throw shooter, and now he can't even get 70%.
that's the league's fault. Remember that year when they changed those rules where you can't walk behind the 3-point line as a routine anymore or anything? That fucked his routine completely. As you saw the percentage drop from 80% that year to like 65. Like there's a definite correlation between them forcing them to change the routine. Because after like 5 to 10 years of doing the same routine over and over again, it's gonna screw with you at some point if that just changes randomly throughout like your career. So I understand why his free throw shooting did drop, but there's no reason why that mid-range jumper is clanking off the side of the rim. Like I understand that his shooting percentage this year wasn't horrible and he had a relatively if accurate. I'm not gonna say efficient, but accurate shooting year versus other years. That's still not
Not
enough. That's still
not
not
from the
enough.
three though. I'm pretty sure he ranked dead last in the league at 3-point shooting.
At a
Yeah,
certain
It was like
volume
29,
threshold, maybe.
28%.
Well, Anthony
people
Davis last year would have took that
people
cake
like to
probably.
use. I see a bunch of people using the stat of like, oh, the last 10 games of the season, Russ was in his bag. He was finally getting comfortable. The last 10 games, bro. The last 10 games
Yeah.
when everybody's resting their best player. Come
Yeah.
on, the last 10 games, get the fuck out of it. No,
No.
throughout the entire year, the best spot he was shooting from, I think, was the corner. And I can't remember the exact percentage, and I don't want to be wrong, so I'm not gonna say it. But he was still, I think, not even either barely league average or still below league average.
I mean, but
So
we remember during the season in LA, in his hometown, when he's in the corner shooting a 3-pointer and the fans are screaming no while he's shooting. Like, come on, that's not okay. Now you're showing something's wrong. If your own hometown fans are saying no before you take a shot, they're saying, no, Russ, don't
that's
please
another thing.
pass it.
That's another thing. I understand why LA fans feel bad that I understand why LA fans hated that they traded for him, right? Because most people didn't ask for this. If anything, I wanted them to get Buddy Hield and DeRozan because I love LeBron and I would want to see him win.
Yeah, they should have got DeRozan.
DeRozan and Buddy Hield, or if it was either
Yes.
one, if you got one of the two or both, it really didn't matter to me. But I understand why they'd want those, but they were kind of like forcing themselves to be happy because you still got Russ, who was an MVP a couple years ago, you know. But at the same time, it's just like, bro, the fit for this team sucked. You're not gonna get much out of this at all. You just got you just gotta sit with it because there's so hard to be bad with LeBron on your team. It's so hard to not make the playoffs, even with LeBron injured. It's so hard, and it's even harder when he's dropping 30 a game and you still find a way to miss the playoffs. Like that's actually insane. Like there was the stat coming out that majority of LeBron's points came in garbage time, but people forget by the end of the second quarter they're already down by 15. So technically that's
Yep.
already garbage time. So
Yeah.
I mean, I just want I hope the Lakers are able to pull off the move for Kyrie because NBA is better when LeBron's one of the one of the most prominent players in the league. So
and
I want to see him back in the playoffs,
it
man.
just maximizes the amount of good teams in this league because if Brooklyn trades KD and Kyrie, whatever they get back for that, they're still going to be a good team. They're still going to be a good team. Whatever team gets KD, they're going to be propped up as a higher championship contender. Whatever
Yeah.
team gets Kyrie's a higher. It just brings way more parity within the league, and it makes it a lot more fun, especially with like the Clippers getting John Wall. Nobody knows what to expect there, but it's
Mhm.
still a pretty okay fit.
Yeah. No,
Like
I like that move a lot, getting John Wall. I mean, he's got obviously coming off those injuries. He's gonna have a lot to prove, but I really when he was in his prime, I loved John Wall.
even no, not even not. I think last year when he was playing, he was still averaging like 20 and 7. So it's not you don't have to
Yeah, I
do much
know,
of
but
that.
he still got it because it was like how many injuries in a row did he have to go through? It was like
It
two
was
or
a
three, I
it was
think.
a good 4 years he didn't play, right?
Yeah, and so like you gotta get comfortable. It's like Klay Thompson. He gets the I forget what came first. It was either the ACL or the Achilles,
It was the ACL in Game 6, and then the
and then
Achilles
the
in
Achilles. So like
practice.
going through like a whole like year or whatever of rehab, practicing, getting back, getting ready, get back into shape, and then you're almost ready to come back, and then you tear your Achilles, and now you got to do it all over again. And then you come back mid-season. It's going to take a while for your body to get comfortable, for you to get comfortable. You know what I mean? To trust your body.
There were fans at the time when he was coming back, and people were like, why people make so much big deal? It's not he's learning. Like, the man is a 3-time champion. He's one of the more fun. I never thought I'd have so much fun watching somebody be a catch and shooter their entire career.
Yeah,
But it's just so fun to watch
it
Klay
is.
be that. And he had to go like as a winner. Watching somebody that loves playing the game go through two major, but could have a couple years ago could have been career enders and come back and still produce the way he did. I would have been happy to watch him too.
Yep. No, you're talking to a big Klay Thompson fan. I'm the one who defends him on the show against John. John's a big John doesn't really like Klay Thompson that
I
much.
think he's a little bit overrated in a sense. I do think he's a bit overrated, but at the same time, that's what winning does for you. And he's come up in big moments, so I can't even be too mad at it.
I wouldn't say overrated. I just he's done his job to literally the highest possible ability he could.
Let's not go there.
I think he's been underrated. I give him underrated because I think he's been disrespected his entire career.
People want to talk about Harrison Barnes in 2016. Look at a couple of those games from Klay. Trust me, there's somebody else to be mad at for throwing that series too. Because even though Steph was injured, I'm talking the only person that I think was playing well in that was Draymond. The only person that was playing well was Draymond.
In that finals you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
The 3-1 one.
trust me. There's a couple situations you can point to Klay not performing to the level he's supposed to.
But and me and John even had this debate just like I think a week ago. So I mean, but you gotta listen. Yes, Clay didn't perform the way he was supposed to, but I blame that more on a Steph Curry and put that more on his shoulders. You're the focal point of the team. The team really runs through you and Clay. So yeah, like Romain was saying about Clay Thompson not really showing up in that NBA Finals performance, and basically everybody on the team not really showing up except for Draymond, like you said. But for me, it was like I look at more Steph Curry to blame for that because he is the focal point of the team. The team runs through him and Clay, but scoring wise, I mean, obviously Draymond's a huge important piece in that puzzle, but scoring wise, it runs through those guys. They're the Splash Brothers. But it's more Steph Curry, obviously, because we look at him and he's Golden State. He is the Warriors, and we've seen a lot through Steph Curry's career, especially when he broke through. Won the MVP, won the finals, and stuff like that. Since then, we've seen a lot, and a lot of fans are endeared by this. This is why they like Steph Curry because he's a smaller guy and he talks his trash. You know what I mean? He's very cocky. He,
He's
he
petty
believes in
too.
himself, and you got to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? To be one of the best in the world, to be the best in the world, you got to believe it because screw all the haters. But we've seen at times he gets a little lackadaisical, a little overconfident. He starts trying a little too much. I mean, the perfect example in the
That
waning minutes of the
that
game
dumbass
7
behind the
in
back
Oracle
pass.
and the behind the back pass that's not Clay's fault. Clay's standing right
You know
there.
what the
And
worst
John told me that
you know the
he was
worst thing
getting a
is?
lot of double teams that game.
You know,
And I told him, well, in that moment, was he double teamed on that play? Because there was just one guy in front of him and he just threw it behind his back for no reason
I'll give
in
Steph
the
one
waning
thing.
minutes.
I'll give Steph one thing. Klay was only open for a second, right? If he took the time to actually catch that ball and throw a regular chest pass, that probably wouldn't have gotten to Klay in time. But at the same time, a behind the back pass on the baseline is a dumbass move, especially in a game 7.
Especially in that moment, in the moment, like in the final minutes of a close game 7. Don't do that. You got to play fundamental basketball.
Yeah, at that point, I would just trust Klay. But another thing with Klay that I don't like, I'm gonna be fair here. K's the OG shot chucker. I'm not gonna lie. Like he when KD came in, he let it be known. I'm not gonna be the one to take less shots. So
Yeah, no.
so that's the thing about him is like whenever he's on, whenever Klay gets hot, that's the best player in the NBA. Whenever he gets hot,
There's nobody that can get hotter except for maybe Curry. He's the only one who can rival
I
him.
don't even think Curry gets hot.
KD.
I think no. I think Curry, in a sense, when he gets hot, he gets a little so confident, which is in an ability that he takes certain shots
Yeah.
and they go in a lot of times, but they do miss and they kind of kill the
Yeah.
momentum a little bit sometimes. But Klay, whenever it's Klay, you're not getting anything crazy from him. He's taking the
No.
same set high percentage shot, and he always finds a way to get open. And whenever he's hot, then he starts taking the contested ones, which is still in his it was still in his repertoire, and it's just hard to like really go. The only time
I,
I've seen him take an extremely deep three while hot was against the Lakers that one time.
I mean, I nicknamed him Mr. Fundamentals because this guy is not going to beat himself. You're going to have to beat him, and he's like, I mean, you taught the jump shot. It's the
Textbook.
same thing every time. It's textbook. So this guy, I love me some Klay Thompson. I think even when you look at his accolades with like the All NBA teams, the All Defensive teams, the All Star teams, and even getting left off the 75th anniversary team, I think that's all signs point to this guy has been disrespected throughout his entire career.
Yeah,
And
I'll give
it's
you
just
that.
like, I mean, if we're gonna say Scottie Pippen is a top 50 player as a Robin to one of the greatest dynasties of all time, if not the greatest, you can't disrespect Klay Thompson and say he's not one of the top 75 players of
But
all
here's
time.
the thing, though. Scotty's also has had accomplishment as a number one, though.
He did.
As a
He
number
did. I
one,
give you that.
you win 55 games without you make it to you
59.
50, yeah, and you almost make it to you always make it to the NBA Finals. Literally, it was what, one layup away from making the NBA Finals. Like a couple bad calls, and that shit goes your way, and you have Scottie Pippen in the NBA Finals without Jordan. I 1000% I don't think you say that about Clay.
Yeah, Scotty was a top 5 player, in my opinion. And if you don't think he was top 5, he was right outside the mix. Because, like you just said, that Blazers team that he was on was so deep and so rounded. But he was at that stage in his career well out of his prime.
Yeah,
He was 34 years old.
yeah,
And
Jordan was what? I understand why people want to probably, but like, there's a reason why that duo was so successful for so long. Scotty had to be another top 10 player. It's like putting LeBron and if 80 was as durable as Scotty was, it's like putting LeBron and 80 together since 2013. That's
Yeah.
broken, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it's really hard. It's hard as hell to look at that duo and look at what Scotty's able to do alone and with Jordan and not realize that Jordan also had a top 10 player in the league on his team at the same time.
I'll keep it a buck with you. I feel like Scotty was like a prehistoric Kawhi.
No,
So I know we kind
that's not
of
a bad take at all. That's a pretty if
With
anything, he was a way better passer than Kawhi.
Yeah, I
to
think,
I
yeah.
mean, we kind of like lit off into a little bit of tangent because the original topic was the Lakers, but
Oh my God, yeah.
one thing I do have to say on Clay, because me and John had this debate about James Harden and Klay Thompson, who we rank higher all time, and I have Klay Thompson ranked higher because of the shortcomings of James Harden.
That's crazy.
Over, you could call me crazy, but I'll
That's
point to all
crazy.
these failed moments for James Harden, and then who's the crazy one? But one thing that when I was looking it up after we talked about it, John, is all these disappearing acts, and one thing that fell through my mind that I forgot in 2016 in the first round when it was Houston versus Golden State, Steph Curry was out three of the 5 games, and Klay Thompson outperformed James Harden offensively, and he was guarding him most of that series defensively and making him struggle.
Wait, what
So
series?
this was 2016 in the first round.
Where they won in 5
2006,
games.
was that the same team
So
that
Steph
was that
missed
still
3 games.
was that the team that
So
still had Dwight?
Yes, that was the trash team where they had Michael Beasley coming off the bench with.
I'm not
Is
gonna
this
take anything away
DeMontis
from Clay. I'm not
Montezunas?
gonna take anything away from Clay, but that Golden State team beating that Rockets team, I'm not gonna put a lot of stock into that. But I understand where you're coming from in the sense that James Harden, the underperformance jobs in the playoffs is insane. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I I like to see transcendent talent in the league. I like to see guys be better than the last. Like, it's not like I want James Harden not to be better than Dwayne Wade. Just the fact that he's just not.
ah,
Like, you
he's
get,
not the guy.
I don't know if I can't say Clay James, even if his regular season alone, like the offensive accolades alone is way too extensive, way too extensive. Like, it's hard. There's a reason why he's in that conversation with D Wade. Like, people consistently have him as the number 4. There's dumb people that try to put. To be honest, right now, I'm gonna say this: if he doesn't, Joel and James Harden should win one. Should.
They're not. They
Especially
won't.
no, especially with the parity in the league right now, they should. That duo is way too good. At least what I think they are. What the idea of them, what they should be, they should win one. Now, if they
Yeah.
don't,
No, I
and
understand what you're
especially
saying.
if it's James's fault, we got to reevaluate that and probably start instead of having him in that fourth spot, you got to reevaluate and be like, look, he may be just like a higher producing Bradley Beal here. Like put him in that Ray Allen, Reggie
That's
Miller
what I'm saying.
conversation instead of the D Wade, Allen Iverson one. But
Like you
right,
tell me, you put a player of like a Bradley Beal in that D'Antoni offense as the guy.
that's
Does he
crazy.
put up similar numbers?
No,
Offensive
Okay,
scoring, yes, but as overall as a
he's
playmaker,
not
hell
putting up
no.
playmaking.
36.
Okay, I
Well,
can
you
give you
guys are being
that.
What
disrespectful.
do you
I
He's
mean?
think
not put
Beal could.
he's not putting up 36 points. He's not putting up 10 assists a
Didn't he
game
put
the
up
way Harden
34 the other
was.
year?
He put up 30.
Really?
That was Beal's career high on a trash
Listen, man,
Wizards team
if
that
that
didn't win more than
D'Antoni offense,
35
you're
games.
basically the guy if you're the guy, and you're getting everything
That's
run through
exactly the
Oh,
you.
way
he
it
put
was
up.
in.
Yeah, he put up 30.
But that's
He put up
exactly how
31
it was
points.
in
Right?
Washington. Scott Brooks would literally just say, "All right, Brad. All right, John Wall. You guys do your thing." That was their offense. They maybe get a ball screen them as isolation 1-on-1, the same way Western KD and Russ and
Yeah,
OKC.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Him playing with Russ definitely. No, wait, he played with Russ the year before. He averaged 30, but he only played 57 games. That's another thing. He hasn't been durable in the past couple years either.
Oh,
But
Brad?
yeah,
Yeah.
but in the year he did average 31, he had Russ on his team, so he didn't have to worry about playmaking at all, and he was having the most efficient year of his career. So yeah, never mind.
And
Yeah,
Brad's taking a step up as a playmaker to 6.5, but nah, he ain't climbing to 8, in my opinion.
not
I think
even.
Brad's cool and all, but he ain't all that.
I
That's
think James Harden
36
has
a
some
game is
pretty good
insane.
division, but I also think he kind of is overrated as a playmaker because not just, I mean, 8 assists a game, even if they're all threes. Even if they're all threes, that equates to about 24 points. Cool. Because that's a Houston offense. So 24 points per game, but you're also giving up 5 turnovers, which could probably lead to a good 20 to 15 points
You're
off your
playing crap
turnovers
defense.
alone. Yeah, and then you cover your defense. Yeah, there's oh shit. There's plenty of reasons why that Houston Rockets team did not win, and he's a large part of it. Um, a large part of it also is D'Antoni like forcing James to just either be layups or 3 pointers and that not being his play style for the rest of his career. Because before D'Antoni, watching James work in the mid range and get his shot any way he wants, I feel like being a way more complete offensive player would have helped him a lot more, especially with that 27 missed threes thing. Because they only lost. I think they lost that game by double digits, but it was because of like the fouling at the end of the game. I think genuinely that game was a single digit loss, and if they made at least 2 of them, Golden State would have one less final strip. And
I mean,
and I think all James right now, people are so crazy to put him higher than D Wade. I don't even think the ring is all he needed. Playing well in the finals is all he would need,
yeah.
and he
I mean,
just hasn't been
clutch.
able
I
to
mean,
get that.
clutch is not. When you talk about Dwayne Wade, he's up there with the most clutchest players of all
Oh
time.
God,
But talking, I mean, a perfect transition. We're talking about James Harden, and our second topic is ranking the Eastern Conference and who's the hierarchy in that conference. And I mean, you said if everything goes right, the 76ers should be a world champion in, let's say the next 2 to 3 years, right? Um, for me, I don't see, if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to tell you they're not going to succeed and fulfill that promise or
dude, you have a
whatever.
good chance of
James
surviving.
Harden's going to come up short in the biggest stages, and you can't tell me if Joel Embiid's going to be there in the big games, because it's either he's hurt or he's got a freaking stomach bug
That's
and he's
another
out
thing.
for some reason.
The,
So
they call AD
Sad
street.
Joel.
They call AD street clothes. Joel is the OG street clothes. Like
yeah, he can't.
Mm,
When you can't stay
John,
healthy,
he hasn't played a full series. He hasn't played like
but
a full
okay, hear me
playoff
out.
run without missing multiple games in each series.
I My fault. You keep
This
going.
genuinely is. He's played the most games of his career the past year, which is cool. It was still only 68, bro. Like,
yeah. I just see it, and you tell me. I got the Bucks are a definite contender. Boston's a definite contender.
Boston's number
I'm
one in
putting my
my eyes.
Miami Heat as a definite contender.
Top four.
Um,
Now you
if
have Cleveland, Toronto.
those guys are like
I'm
second,
still.
third tier for me,
I'm
I
still.
really don't.
If
If
Brooklyn,
push comes to shove, I'm not picking those guys over the top 3, 4 teams in the
yeah.
East.
To be
I'm
honest,
just not.
I would have a hard time putting the 76ers right now over Brooklyn if they keep KD and Kyrie. Because if they keep
That's what
KD and
I'm
Kyrie, they're
saying.
still a really good
With
team.
Ben Simmons too.
Yeah. I have
Let
a
me
hard time putting them over him. So.
let me say something real quick about Joel. He is the OG street clothes guy, but I feel like for his first 3 years, that was largely a product of Sam Hinkie and the rebuild, where there's like, all right, up, you sprain your finger, you're out. I know his leg injuries those years, but that was kind of the philosophy they had. And this last year, he played 68 games, but I think people forget he missed most of November, 3 weeks because of COVID, and that really messed him up.
Oh
Now in
right,
the
he did catch
playoffs,
COVID.
that was at least 10 games, honestly, that I think he missed. Outside of that, he was pretty healthy
Yeah,
into the postseason.
I'm not gonna give him too much flack for this full season because you can't really do much when one somebody crushes your finger, another one they elbow you in the face. Like that's just crazy freak accident shit.
And here's the other
But also,
thing.
he was dealing with like 2 or 3 other injuries at the time
Yeah, but
too,
he
I
was
believe,
still
during the
playing,
season.
and before he was not doing that.
And you
But
felt
that's what
his
I'm saying though.
impact.
But you're dealing with those. You're a big man. That's a big man. Okay, there's a height 7'1", 7'2",
Like
maybe.
285.
Come on, man. That's a lot of man right there. Okay, and you're playing lengthy seasons. You're going into the playoffs, and you're saying you got to make a deep run. Come on, man. Like that's a lot to ask for a guy, and he's got to be the vocal point of the offense.
Yeah,
I don't see him being able to make it to that point at the end of the season. And then if he's not there and it's just James Harden, well, we've seen James Harden's disappearing acts. It'll happen again.
the man
And John
refused to
says that
take
the
Tony.
injury explains his Brooklyn years. Well, okay, if that hamstring's still bothering him, which a hamstring is one of the worst injuries you can get because it can come up out of nowhere. It'll just flare up in an instant. One play you're
Fist
freaking,
fall.
driving to the rack doing fine. The next play you're like, "Oh, hold on, coach, call a timeout. I cannot walk right now." So if you're telling me an injury will keep James Harden out or just James Harden being James Harden in the playoffs, the 76ers are not going to they're not going nowhere. I would have preferred them making a big splash move and getting a Dame Lillard.
I'll give
If you get Dame Lillard, I give you a better shot.
I'll give James Harden some flack. Those Brooklyn years, he got
Year.
he yeah, it was technically 2 seasons, but I get it. Yeah, it adds up to like just like one full season. But like
Yeah.
the second half that he was there for the first time when he got traded there, genuinely, KD was out so much, he was carrying that roster. So he was playing that many minutes was the reason why the injury happened in the first place. And then they made all those second round, and then the return to the next year again. The injury one wasn't completely healed because remember he also had those quad problems too in Houston. So he came over with those, and then the hamstring. So that's compounding injuries. And then the next year he was playing like 37 minutes. KD was out, Kyrie wasn't playing. The starting line was James Harden, Bruce Brown, Nick Claxton, like Blake Griffin and Patty Mills. Like, come on, bro. He was playing a good 37 to 40 minutes a night. So that injury is definitely not healing. So I understand why he wasn't the same he was this year, but I also see where you're coming from in the sense that one, I don't think he's the same anymore. He just doesn't seem like he has the same burst that he used to, even with the hamstring injury. And if he proves me wrong, great.
Harden stands will vehemently disagree that he will come back the old James Harden.
That was 3 years ago, bro. Like,
Well, they're
it's
talking about 2021 James Harden. That was an MVP race, carrying 26, 10, and 7 on
I.
not 41% shooting.
Here's the thing, though, is James has always had this problem where he's always at some point in the season he's out of shape. He may
Yeah.
end the season in shape, but at some point he's going to be out of shape. So you don't know how well he take care of his body. And as somebody that's getting up there in age, certain injuries don't heal the same way they used to when they're younger. So right now you expect him to come back the same. You don't know how that injury healed. You don't know how much of his athleticism that probably took from him, and he didn't rely on it, but he needs that burst off that between the
First
legs
step.
dribble, that burst to get to the rim. That's how he gets fouled a lot because people, even though people say he's foul baiting, he was getting fouled a lot. Like he was big in by his defender, they were putting their hand in the cookie jar, and he was taking advantage of that with every single time. So it's like I don't think he has that burst anymore to constantly have that type of effect. So
Nah, I feel like we haven't mentioned the biggest thing in Philadelphia and why they've become a true contender. First off, last year, if Joel Embiid were healthy, his face, his finger, and
they would have beaten us.
Sagewell,
I'm not gonna lie, they would have
I
beaten us.
think they
No,
would have. I think they would have had you all.
no.
And you look at the offseason they just had. They took one of the best fits in the NBA for your defense that adds a ton of versatility. He had a career year offensively, which I think is a large product of Eric Spoelstra and the system he was in, the way he was
Yeah, but he's
used.
also 36.
But even still, we have to give him credit for Whether it was the floaters, the short corner threes, he was
Yeah,
making shots,
but you
averaging 8
just said
points
it.
a
That's a
game.
product of that. Even PJ says like he's never had a coach ever let him be this free offensively. That's not gonna be Doc. That's not gonna be Doc Rivers. I don't
And
think you see
I
the
want
same
to say
production from
something.
PJ in Philly.
They made more moves too as well. I
I
want
want to say something on PJ Tucker real quick, especially in the playoffs, right? Where I'm watching with like my most keen eye on like almost every play. I would notice something about PJ. He'd give us one early 3-point shot, right? A corner 3-point shot in the first quarter. And then it would be nothing else basically.
I'll
It's
disagree
not his
with.
job.
I'll disagree with you. He's hit a couple clutch 3-pointers in that playoff run. But I'll give you one thing in the fact that the second half of the year, that 3-point percentage was nowhere. Like he would have the best 3-point percentage in the first half of the year because he was shooting I think like 47%. Second half it was like 38. Like like it was a huge drop off. And
It was just too many times that I saw him. He would make one and then like go basically the whole game without making another 3-point shot.
That's a product of the
It
game,
was
I
too. It was
think.
too. It was too
no,
often. I saw
he
that.
had the attempts. He had the attempts. Not
He did have the attempts. He was taking
yeah,
the shots. He was just missing them later in the game.
and they were open. It's not
But he
like they're
was
contested.
Yeah, one thing he's giving you on a nightly basis that you know from PJ Tucker is he's giving you intensity. He's gonna fight for every board he can. He's gonna shoot out of nowhere sometimes, just coming crashing in from the corner and grabbing an offensive rebound. And defensively, he's gonna give you everything he's got.
Yeah, but I just don't know
So
how much you can depend on that night in night out anymore.
In the
I'll
playoffs, when
give
it
you that.
matters, that's what Philadelphia needs. You're right about that, Brand, but you just said it. The energy that he spills out, while he may not be making buckets and shots, on the offensive end, that presence, the physicality, and the ability to role play, that is indispensable. For any championship contending team, you need an elite fifth starter. You need a guy that can just plug and play. He's going to be seamless and he's going to make an immediate impact that kind of rejuvenates his team. Philadelphia has a squad that hasn't not made it out of the second round because of Joel Embiid's injuries. It's because they're a soft team that's not athletic. They lack toughness, they lack physicality, and like I just said, they lack speed. Last year, it was one of the slowest teams in the NBA. I feel like I could have run faster than all of their
To
guys
be
outside
honest,
Tyrese
yeah,
Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey inflated those numbers a little bit. They're probably even slower than that without him.
Yeah, without him, I mean, Joel Embiid is maybe their fastest player.
That's sad.
Now you add in D'Anthony Melton, who's a quick guard. He's
Oh, they
volatile.
did
He's
get
not
D'Anthony. Oh,
consistent.
I forgot.
I love D'Anthony Melton. And Memphis, Taylor Jenkins didn't fully trust him to give him the keys of the backup guard, and I understand that. I'm big on Tyus Jones.
Yeah,
D'Anthony is a guard who can really heat up, and off the bench, he may not have good games, but he is another good defender that can guard guards at a high level, is quick, and can make shots. And I haven't mentioned Daniel House either, who, hey, look, I think James Harden took that pay cut because
this
Daniel
is
House is
Houston
covering for him in the
2.0.
bubble.
This is Houston 2.0 plus like just take Tyrese Maxey, Joel, and then Tobias Harris and just put them on the 2015 Houston Rockets at this point. Like, not even that. You basically Tobias Harris is just basically going to be another Trevor Ariza at this point, and you're paying Trevor Ariza at 20 mil a year. That's crazy.
Or a reluctant Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, for me
Nah, that's
though,
Jordan.
like I said,
That's Niang.
No, he's
I,
not
I just
reluctant. You're right though.
I see it as the top three teams are the top three teams in Miami, Boston, and Milwaukee, and the rest of the team. And then if I mean, we'll see what happens with Brooklyn. I think it's going to break up. KD is going to go somewhere. Kyrie is going to go to Lakers, so they're not going to be a contender. So it's really for me those top three teams, and then everybody else. And I don't see the
Brooklyn's got to make a
But none of those
decision.
teams.
huh.
Sorry, you had the question.
Brooklyn's just gotta make a decision. Like at this point, like you're gonna go into the season. KD's already said, "Hey, yo, you gotta fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks. You ain't go into the season with them having to coach him. Like, come on." At this point, like you're talking about, you want to have a team to be proud of, even if you somehow win a couple games. This team's way too dysfunctional to win any championship in the first place. So the whole reason you got these two guys, you're basically just wasting your time at this point. If Jaylen Brown was on the table before, I don't know why you didn't take that offer before, which is insane. If Miles Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Miles Bridges,
Mikal.
Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and DeAndre Ayton was on the table, I don't know why you didn't take that. I understand why they didn't take the Heat one, because even I wouldn't have taken that one. Okay,
Yeah.
but overall, I see the trade packages that could have come from this, and I just don't. I understand you want the biggest package ever, but I just don't know why when
It goes to I'll answer why. It was Rudy Gobert and the Minnesota Timberwolves
that's
literally
the
giving
thing.
away a king's freaking ransom and breaking the trade market.
That's
So
the
now when you go
inflation.
from Rudy Gobert gets what, 5 first round picks and
Basically
like
7.
7 and then like 3 or 4 players. KD's 10 times, 20 times the player Rudy Gobert is.
Well, 20 times is
I'll give
excessive.
you one thing. Rudy, I wouldn't say it's all. I think the one that kind of put the nail in for Rudy to hammer it was the DeJounte Murray one, because 3 unprotected picks a couple years ago got you AD, but now that's barely enough to get you DeJounte Murray. So that kind of set the precedent of what's it's like now in this trade market. Then you have Danny Ainge coming out like, I want the biggest trade. I want 8 picks for Donovan Mitchell. So if I'm Brooklyn, I'm looking at them like 5, 8, 3. I got this. What's many people think is like the second or third best player in the world, bro. I'm getting half your team for this. But
Yep.
but it's just they didn't take into account every single championship contender that would want KD right now. They're not gonna blow up half their team for that, because there's no point in getting KD at that point.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to take a lesser package in a sense. And either way, Ben
You're
Simmons,
not
Jalen Brown, I'd like that duo.
yeah. You're not getting equal better value for Kevin Durant.
Not anymore.
It's just not going to
The
happen. That's not
market,
how trades work.
every single championship contender is way too set right now for them to make that big of a move. It was maybe a last year when if it was last year when certain teams were in a flux of where they want to go, like let's say Russ wants to stay in the Wizards, and then the Wizards are like, all right, then let's put everything in to get KD. Now you have Russ, Bradley Beal, and KD. I can understand if they would make that move right now, but right now there's no team that's willing to like make that type, or like has the facilities to make that type of move.
Yeah.
And real quick, part of the thing in KD is if I'm getting half my team, like get a guy who can't lead me, my philosophy is flawed. So if I'm a franchise, I'm not going out to get KD because I'm lucky to get 55 games out of him. And
That's another thing.
while
That's
there
the
is
issue.
no player in the NBA that can do what KD does, he's a tremendous player, and I value that. I respect his game because I've never seen a player like him before. The mid-range scoring is incomparable to the elite players, all the other ones. And
The only one that compares is Jordan, to be honest, efficiency wise, at least.
yeah, I think Kawhi, PG, and maybe CP3,
Not even them,
D-Book
to
in
be
his
honest.
best days, and they still. I mean, KD's shooting like 56% from mid-range. It's just unheard of.
Third.
We understand.
It's genuinely mind-boggling. The man is MVP year, shot like 54% on straight jumpers. Like that's actually insane.
And
I
I
would
wish
put
that
Bird
could
in
be.
there. Efficiency. The guy's a 2-time 50-40-90 club.
Yeah. 50, 40, 90. But how much weight are you putting into that 40 though? With through like 3 attempts a game.
And definitely, he was
I
the
understand.
best 3-point shooter in the 80s.
Yeah, I understand the time. I understand the times are different, but it's just really hard for me to put him in those conversations when it's like you got guys that are taking 8 a game now.
Yeah, Larry's an innovator, but in those seasons he was taking 1.6 threes. Or right no. In his 91, so in 87 he got that 3 attempts a game. Yep. He was always around that mark, and some of those years he was taking barely 1.5 threes. But with KD, if we could just talk about the basketball player, I'd love to do that. But he's, an insecure star that wants to fulfill his legacy, and he feels like there's so much more that he can achieve given where he's at as a player. But
His emotions are too volatile.
like you just hit on with those emotions being volatile, teams aren't ready to take him on as a number two. I feel like the Clippers would have been perfect for him to play with Kawhi, all of their depth, and an elite top 5 coach, amazing in the playoffs, and Tyronn
Well,
Lue, pretty good. I wouldn't say amazing.
I hate that you made that suggestion, because if I see a Clipper team with KD and Kawhi, I'm punching a fucking screen. But at the same time, yeah, it's if he's gonna be a place, he needs to be like a one. He needs to be with a player that you can say he's a 1B with at right now, or at least a number 2, which is kind of weird to say about KD. But between you not getting enough games from him throughout the entire regular season, his emotions being volatile, you never know when he's gonna leave. And to be honest, just overall, there's some questionable moments of him showing up when his team needs him the most. Because people, I think, recency bias in that one game he had against Milwaukee that he went crazy in. People hold that to such a higher guard, but then you look at the rest of the production over that, especially like now against Boston, it's very glaring that one, he's not the same KD he was a couple years ago. Doesn't have the same rim pressure that he used to. Doesn't have the same burst that he used to. While his jump shot is pure can be, and he can still get to the rim. He can still finish. It's just whenever the Eastern Conference and over any single Western Conference team that makes the finals is gonna have a competent wing defender. And all the top teams in the East that you would play in like conference finals has multiple top wing defenders that can do this, that can give him as much problem as Boston did. You go against the Heat, you have somebody like Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and whoever the four is, like a Caleb or something that's adept defensively, long as Boston was, can give him trouble. You go against Boston again, you're gonna run Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, and Jaylen Brown again. Like you're gonna always run into every single championship team. Like you have to have a good defending wing. Golden State has Andrew Wiggins. Memphis has Desmond Bain. Like you're gonna have to need one. And he's gonna always have to face those guys. So I just think, yeah, he can't be a focal point anymore, which is crazy to say when I still consider him a top 5 player in the league.
For me with KD and where I don't know where he's going. I don't see the Clippers making that deal. I think Kawhi and Paul George have really formed like a somewhat of a bond, and I think that they're going to stick it out and play together. I just don't know where KD's going to end up, so I think it's going to shock all of us where he ends up and what the Nets get for him.
Orlando.
I'm done talking about it. We'll see
No
who
way.
gets traded.
Because when I
He
look
can't
at
veto it. He can't veto it. That's crazy. I thought he would have a no trade clause, but he can't veto it. So wherever Brooklyn wants to send him, whatever they think is a good package, guess what?
Yeah.
He's going.
Bradley Beal can have a trade clause for his loyalty, but Kevin Durant,
I mean,
LeBron James
wait.
can't.
yeah, he could threaten not to play though, because then we're in the NBA and you're allowed
He's
to
not
do
going to
that
do
as
that.
a player.
He's 34 and he's 34. He understands where his legacy stands at this point. And even if he doesn't win another ring, just racking up the numbers can be enough to push him up in certain all-time rankings. He understands where he's at. He's not going to not play.
Yeah, but he's not gonna play for Orlando though.
I beg to disagree.
He's here to win The whole reason he left Golden State was to win a championship on his own.
That Orlando team is nice.
Yeah, but
They're not winning the championship.
Yeah, but what you're gonna give up? You can give up Cole Anthony, Paolo, Wendell Carter Jr. Like you're giving up everything for KD if you're Orlando. What are we talking about, Orlando? That's just not happening. Get that shit. No, for that.
I thought you said Orlando.
I was joking though. I'm like,
I know you were joking, but I was just saying that there's no way he would go to a bad first. So like when he put out Miami and Phoenix,
I was
just
nasty.
like,
that was so nasty.
It's going to be hard to make a deal done because you want to play with Kyle Lowry, Jimmy, and Bam, but they'd have to give up 2 of those players to get you. So that's not going to work. If Phoenix
to make the money match, no, but yeah, to get max what Brooklyn wants, yeah, we'd have to include a 13.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, and I don't even want KD when the report. I was like, nah, I'd rather have Donovan Mitchell in my opinion.
No, I'd rather have KD.
Younger, higher. We know where KD's at right now. Donovan Mitchell could be a better player. In theory.
No, that's insane. That is
you bring him into
KD's like
culture,
top 15.
He will
KD's
become a
top
better
15.
defender.
KD's top 15 all time, bro.
Yeah, I think you're bugging on that. I love Donovan Mitchell.
No, I said top 15.
I don't even think so.
That's like the Kevin Garnett, Dwayne Wade range. He's right there.
Who do you have over? I mean, the top 10, my top 10 right now. Are we really getting this conversation? You know what? Fuck it. What? Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Kobe. Then I get into then from around that range to like 12 is iffy as hell. And
Tim Duncan,
that 11
better than Tim Duncan.
Oh no, Timmy, if anything, is right behind Kobe or like 7 for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Shaq's over him.
Him and Larry.
I have Larry over him, and that's the thing.
I take Bird over him.
I take
Bill Russell.
I'll take Bill Russell over him.
I have Bill Russell top 6.
I take Curry over him. I don't know if I take Wilt. Wilt was the KD before KD, consistently number 2 in the league all the damn time, putting up great numbers, but can never actually get it done.
Hakeem is over him.
I have Hakeem over Wilt.
I have Hakeem. Yeah, I have Hakeem over him. Like that 11 to 12 or like let's say 10 to 15 range is definitely interchangeable because that's where you throw in guys like KG,
Dwayne Wade over him. Jerry West, maybe Oscar Robertson.
I'll take Wade over him. Wade won a championship on his own. KD never won a championship on his own.
Okay, but like you missing the context here. Like The teams KD's faced throughout his career have been far better than that Dallas team. Let's be real
Listen, you
here.
play who's in front of you. That's
I
not Dwayne
understand.
Wade's
I
fault.
understand that, but whenever I make all-time rankings, I have to take into account the competition you
You
played
do,
against.
but you also got to take into account he also blew a 3-1 lead.
Yeah,
Came up small.
he has the lows that certain players do not have, but he also has the highs that certain guys don't have either. Because you say what you want about the Golden State team, you're rarely going to find somebody that drops 35 a game in the NBA Finals.
Bro, put any of the top 5 players in the league at that
I
time.
understand the
They're doing
position
the
he was in.
same exact
I
thing.
understand the position he was in, but you still have to do it though. You still have to. It's just a testament to the talent that he was able to do it as easily as he did.
I mean, you're just taking Harrison Barnes and putting in KD.
24. I'm gonna say,
And that was the greatest team of all time that he created by going there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's another thing that made it nasty, bro. You lose, and then you're the two options of teams that you said you want to go to with the both number 1 seed. Like, have some shame, dog.
Yeah, that doesn't fly well with me. You got to take that into consideration too.
No, I definitely have I think he a little bit, but I have KD top 15.
Oh yeah.
If anything, if he wins a ring, right, whether it's with Brooklyn or a new team, that could be the thing that maybe gives him a top 10 conversation. To be honest,
It could, but it won't happen.
because at that point you're comparing his rings to Bird's,
Awesome.
and let's just Bird had 3 Hall of Famers on that team.
4 when he had Walton.
But it wasn't it wasn't how the Warriors were. Well, the Warriors were, built through the draft.
I mean, Dennis
was.
Johnson, and Kevin McHale were at their peak. Robert Parrish was, on the tailor end, but like Kevin McHale was at the peak at the time. And a lot of people will tell you, like, if Kevin McHale had his own team, the numbers he probably was putting up would probably been insane, and he probably still would have been able to win too. So it's just with him and Bird. Definitely, if he wins a ring where he is like the clear cut number 1 and not like a 1A or 1B like he was with Steph, then I see the argument for him over Bird.
I think I have Larry over him. The question is between KD and Karl Malone, KD and Jerry West, KD versus KG, KD versus Moses Malone, Julius Erving, David Robinson.
Dr.
That's the real
J's a
comp.
tough one because Dr. J's hella underrated.
I know Brandon had Dirk, and I'm gonna say
No,
I would have KD any day of the week. I love Dirk.
Dirk got lucky in that. Look, LeBron shut the bed. I know that, but Dirk got hella lucky in that 2011 that happened. If 2011 didn't happen, Dirk's career would look so much different. So much different.
People want to have him in the top 30. I don't think.
But he was great for the revolution of the game, but I don't think that many players would adopt that play style if 2011 didn't happen. Because looking at his career before that, 2006, he wet the bed. The next year wins MVP, then loses in the first round to the Warriors. And the next couple of years, he spends getting spanked by Kobe or Tim Duncan at some point throughout his career. Like, if without 2011 happening, keep 2011, insane freaking run. I'll give him that. Like, even he played healthy teams that were to their full potential before he got to the Heat. He should have gotten mopped by the Heat, but let's not talk about that. But like, if LeBron played up to standard, we'd have a way different conversation about Dirk than we do now.
Yeah.
Like, even in 2000, because even then, even without LeBron playing like shit, he wasn't the best player on the court. D Wade was.
Yeah. No, D Wade was balling that year.
Yeah. If we won that year, LeBron would have 5 rings, but 4 Finals MVPs because he was not winning that year. D Wade was averaging 26.
Yeah, shout out to LeBron. It's like
sad moment.
Every single like major moment in like past 10 years somehow is tied to him in some fucking way. Oh, my bad.
LeBron.
All good. Don't worry about it. So
yeah, it's somehow it's always tied to him in some way, like some
finals appearances. So
now we've talked about the Eastern Conference, and we got to the Orlando Magic, and I thought that's where we're going to round off that discussion. But speaking of Giannis Antetokounmpo, he is a player where I haven't seen him play Joel Embiid in the playoffs, and I'm not ready to quite say that the Bucks clear Philadelphia with their new acquisitions this offseason. Now, he was asked in the last few days whether or not it was out the question of him leaving the Bucks in a few years, because through his career, he's admitted, I've thought about going other places, even right after winning a championship. He said I could have took the easy route and left to go to a place like Dallas or heck, Brooklyn maybe. That would have been so OP. Or Miami, of course. You guys are both Miami fans. And he says, I think anybody you ask that question that plays basketball, if he said no, he'd be a liar. It's a team. He then talks about the Bulls because that's the team he was asked about. It was a team that won multiple championships. It's a team that one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player to ever play this game, played for. So it's no brainer. Everybody would love to play for Chicago. I think that's
I know
ironic.
about everybody. I know about everybody.
Yeah, I think that's ironic because when you look at them the last 15 years, their biggest free agent acquisition is Carlos Boozer. After his days in Utah. So I have a hard time necessarily
No,
agreeing with them.
Demar. I'll take them. I'll say Demar's a
I
big.
keep forgetting Demar, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Demar's a big one than Carlos.
Yeah, I would agree. But before this last season, I think people viewed DeMar under a really dim light. He wasn't
Oh
even a
yeah,
top
his career
75
was
player
on.
according to ESPN.
Yeah, his career was on the downward trend, and then coming to this team was really what revitalized it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, he was having a career year in MVP conversations, and then people were talking about like, damn, if DeMar wins the MVP, imagine what that looked like for LeBron's career. And it's like, how did he make it in this conversation? But it's true because people are gonna use, oh, LeBron beat an MVP, a player that won an MVP threat. Like, genuinely, this year was just a fever dream for him because I didn't expect this at all. And then Lonzo went down, then Caruso went down, then Zach was dealing with injuries throughout the year. Patrick was down for the entire year. Like that amazing start they had, like throughout the second half of the season, it sucked that, and he was still keeping up the same level of play he was before. It's just that overall team just kept falling apart. So there's like at the time I had the Bulls as the fourth best team in the East, and they dropped off hella because of all the injuries and stuff. And you had the unfortunate luck to play the Bucks in the first round without Lonzo. So I understand why it looks as bleak, but I think next year, even though I really felt like I should have traded Vooch this season, but overall that was the team I wanted Rudy to go to.
Yeah, and Bulls fans, I've seen a lot trying to conjure up this idea that the Nikola Vucevic trade was not a loss. They lost that trade so badly. And
I
like
don't
I
think so
get
because I don't think Wendell would have developed into the player he is now if
I
he
was
was
getting
there.
to that. Wendell was not going to be the answer at center because both their history with injuries and their certainly, I mean, they're dude. What's the word I'm looking for?
Questionable player development.
No, not their player development. Their staff are like managing injuries. I'm blanking on the top of my head.
Oh, the trainers.
Yeah, their training staff is very questionable. You can look at Larry Markkinen, who was missing time constantly, goes to Cleveland, plays a near full season last year. So I don't think Wendell would have been the answer. But this last year, Wendell was better than Nikola Vucevic. And Franz Wagner,
Yeah, but you look at the
I like
roles.
Pat Will a lot, but that 8th overall pick they absolutely nailed, and they still have a 2023 first rounder from Chicago. It's top 4 protected, maybe it's unprotected. They I understand the Bulls would not have gotten making the Nikola Vucevic trade was the right move, but they lost it badly because that was a perfect series for him versus Milwaukee, and he was a disappearing act outside of game 2 where he was making shots where, hey, look, those pick and pop jumpers were there from against Brook Lopez, and he just wasn't making them. And you brought him here to be the number 3 so he can make those shots, opening up the game, and adding a layer to the offense that very few offenses can replicate given the big man position. And he didn't do it. And the regular season, too, the jump shot wasn't there. The touch was basically non-existent from three-point land, and defensively he holds them back, whether or not you want to admit it, because when those guards and Lonzo, Caruso, and Io aren't just holding him over, he's gonna kill you as well. He's not that high-level rim protector. He's barely adequate on that end.
That's the whole thing. I was looking at the Bulls team the entire year. That's why I really wanted Rudy on here because like even like people were talking about the spacing would be a little bit worse. Uh and even if when you get Patrick, well no, you had to trade Patrick in that trade, so you don't know who was gonna play the 4-2. So you don't know how bad the spacing was gonna get. But at the same time, just like they weren't getting points off those possessions where Vooch was shooting threes anyway because he was shooting that bad this year. So I don't think that makes that big of a dent in their offense. If anything, it makes it better because Rudy Gobert is, well, if there's one thing he's good at on offense, he's one of the most elite lob threats in the league. And DeMar DeRozan is a very underrated playmaker. You put an elite lob threat like that with somebody like Lonzo Ball, that's gonna look amazing. So I added to the layer he adds to any team he goes to defensively while being at least an elite lob threat. And to be honest, Utah was not, whenever he sealed the guards in the post, like all he just needed to catch the ball and lay it up, they weren't passing it to him. So at least just giving him that dynamic too would have been crazy. So I do think that it would have been a bigger upgrade, but I don't think one. Chicago is this big free agency destination. I'm sorry. People hate those winters. And two,
Giannis is used to it though.
I think Giannis, with how he's talked about like Milwaukee and the entire league, I don't think he's one of those guys going to stay loyal his entire career. I don't think so. Especially if they're not able to win again within the next 3 years, or at least the end of this contract.
We're
Like,
about to jump into that.
yeah,
You said that he's gonna leave if they don't end up winning.
I think he just genuinely wanted to have that one where he's just like, yeah, I stuck you through and I won one and he got very lucky that it did happen with that year. But hey, it happened, you have one. But I don't think he loves Milwaukee the same way like people thought Dirk loved Dallas, or I'm gonna say Kobe asked for a trade. Um Yeah, I just don't think he loves that. I can't even say Tim Duncan because Tim Duncan was about to leave the Spurs too. So I just don't think he loves that team as much as people would want him to or think he does. But he's genuinely. So I think if the opportunity does present itself and like things in Milwaukee is just on a downhill trend, I definitely see him packing up shit.
Now let me say something about this Bucks team. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go back to the finals, and the reason why is Chris Middleton. I was saying this yesterday in the Pick a Side pod, and Joel and I got into a heated Chris Middleton debate. I have Chris Middleton right outside the top 30 next to Zion Williamson. I think he is a tremendous talent and an amazing fit next to Giannis. And without him, we saw in the second round, this Bucks offense can be deplorable from the perimeter. And as great as Giannis Antetokounmpo is, as much of a contender as he makes the Bucks, and with him healthy, you have a shot no matter what. He's going to his 10th season, and to expect him to
It's
continue
been 10
playing,
years.
yeah,
God
his guy's in
damn.
No, though.
13.
Still in his late 20s.
He's
Wow.
20, turning
27.
28. Yeah,
Yeah, he came in young, but I'm like, damn, it's been 10 years. That's crazy.
and Middleton is 31. What I'm getting at here is he is so necessary to the way he initiates their offense. We saw Drew Holiday, he just disappears at times on offense. For as good of a perimeter defender as he is, I mean, there are moments where he
He's
can't
a
make a layup.
fantastic offensive
He's in
player
his
too.
hand.
He's really efficient. He
In
just
the
like,
regular season, he's
yeah, he's
averaging
just
19 and 6 on great efficiency. But you'll notice he gets in his head in the playoffs, a little bit like Eric Bledsoe, for as great a defender as he can be. And you got to keep in mind, this isn't a guy that's going to go out and guard KD. He can't. That's why they have PJ on him. He's not going to guard LeBron either. He's only 6'3", and sure, he's thick and he can get into guys. He's a
yeah, the
great
top
post
team,
defender.
the top team in the East. There's not really a lot of guards that you have to worry. It's the forwards you have to worry about, and Drew
It's
can't
really
guard the
just
forwards.
Trey. Yeah, he's not guarding those bigger forwards. And so what I'm getting at here is, without a healthy Chris Middleton, who just re-injured the same knee in the first round of the playoffs as he had earlier in the season, he's now 31 years old. If he regresses to a level where he's not the same Chris Middleton that can drop 40, be a very good defender, a more than capable playmaker, and a pick and roll initiator, this vital cog to what makes the Bucks a special, unique team that we all love is going to start to fizzle. Because I don't know how you can replace Chris Middleton if you're consistently picking in the late 20s each year. You're just going to be snagging role players like Marjon Beauchamp, and you're lucky if those guys turn into a capable 3-and-D wing, with where you're going to be in the draft. It's always going to be 24, maybe 22, 26, 29. And let's say how it is, Milwaukee,
And their cap space is fucked too.
much like Chicago, they're committing so much cap to Giannis and Drew, they're not really going to have the versatility to add big name free agents either. So, what is the pathway as Middleton regresses and potentially has a peak or just a prime shortened due to injury if he's not going to be in the picture
Yeah.
as a number 2 option on a championship team? So if that is gone, I don't think the Bucks can make it out of the first round
But
or at the second round with how deep this Eastern Conference
the
is.
thing is I don't think we think about players the same. I think we think about players the same, like it's 2008 again, in a sense that the medicine's gotten to the point where 31, even though you've had injuries, at 31, your prime can extend to about 34. So I don't think Chris will regress to a certain level yet, because one, his game doesn't rely too much on his athleticism. It requires a technical skill a lot, and he doesn't provide. He already doesn't provide a lot of rim pressure as it is, and he does a lot of his work outside in the pick and roll and outside out of the post. So I don't really expect a huge drop off from him. But at the same time, in a healthy Eastern Conference, that team wasn't and wouldn't have been enough to make the finals. Like they were one toe away from not making it in the first place. So it's honestly very, and the East has only gotten better since then. So it's very honestly, even though I think they were a better team last year than they were their championship year. But even with losing PJ,
But without Brook Lopez as well, with him missing most of the
that's
season.
another thing. He's getting older up in age there, and there's not a lot of players that can replicate the whole verticality plus at least close
And
to really efficient 3-point shooting. Like there's just so many. Yeah, they're getting up in age, and two, I don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna have to create a whole new philosophy, to be honest. If they're gonna rebuild this team, and that may take another 2 or 3 years, and you don't know if Giannis is willing to sit through that either. Because again, players like Giannis, you don't know when that prime's gonna end. When it relies on athleticism to that extent, even though he's getting a little bit more skillful, and I think the rest of his career, he can consistently be a 20-point per game scorer if he works out of the post, even with his athleticism declining. Genuinely, the biggest thing that makes Giannis as great as he is athleticism, and you don't know when that's going to drop off, especially for somebody at his size. So you're gonna have to
6'11".
maximize the amount of time you have with him, and I don't think, again, when you're a small market team, it's really hard to do, especially when your player starts to get older. If you're the
Yep.
Lakers or something that could constantly just switch out plays because everybody wants to come fucking play for you, that's cool. Not when you're in Milwaukee.
Yeah, for me, I was pretty tight when Giannis didn't come to Miami when his contract was
I
about to
didn't
be
see it
up.
happening. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see it
You
happening.
didn't see, yeah, no, I could understand that point. For me, it's hard to identify because I agree with both of you guys. You know what I mean? I agree with like the fact that I think the Bucks might be headed in a downward trajectory with Chris Middleton aging, coming off another injury, Drew Holiday showing he cannot be the number 2 guy offensively. Um,
That's another.
how
If Drew just played to his regular season self, they would have made
yeah,
the conference finals.
but I get that, but like it shows you, the player is going to show you who he is, and when he's performing in the regular season and not in the postseason, then he's showing you exactly who he is.
Very
So,
true. Very true.
with it's just what would they be able to get? Like, would they package a Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton?
You can't do that anymore. Making way too much money as it is right now,
Yeah,
and they're way too old.
yeah, and who like and would you get something comparable? So if you can't get anything comparable to add with Giannis, then Giannis might be on his way out. I could see where he would go. I don't see it being Chicago. I just don't.
I think
Why
it'd
would you
be
do
Dallas. I think it'd be Dallas.
Dallas? Would be a very. Look at their history with the European players. You know what I mean? They're the place where you go. Now
Giannis is the
Giannis
really
and Luca
only.
would be.
Yeah, he's the only guy that I think would willingly sign with Dallas in a free agency move. Because again,
Giannis
that
and Luca though.
yeah,
Yeah, no.
I
Plays with Jason Kidd, who he liked too.
Yep.
oh yeah, Jason Kidd did. Oh yeah, he did coach the Bucks too. Oh yeah, so he's familiar
Giannis
with.
liked him.
Yep. And
Yeah.
Giannis liked him a lot. He liked Jason Kidd a lot.
Damn, that could be a setup. That could be a setup for the future.
Yep.
But yeah,
Uh,
if the Bucks aren't able to retool, yeah, I definitely see him leaving. I don't think he's as loyal as people. With all the comments he's already made about leaving at some point, with us having a question of if he's going to leave to go to like a Miami or something before already early in his career, and
Mm-hmm.
like I don't see how it's not a possibility anymore. Like even with players that are that loyal, I still sit here and be like, the right situation, you'll leave if the right
Yeah.
situation pops up. And with Giannis, there's a lot of right situations where he would leave.
Yep.
And if we're talking about Chris Middleton's injuries, it definitely won't be Chicago as Zach LaVine and that training staff. I wouldn't. If I'm Giannis, I'm not looking at this in the angle if I can fill Michael Jordan's legacy. I'm looking at this in the angle if I can create new history and a new lineage. I'm not trying to just be the next MJ, or even though he's not akin to MJ in style in Chicago. I mean, the Bulls
I mean,
haven't
but I
been.
think in a way, I think he's okay with that. I think he's okay with being the next. Like, look at the way LeBron did in a sense. Like when he went to Miami, he wasn't gonna have a bigger legacy than Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade is the city. So, and in LA, he wasn't gonna. He's just another big star that played for. Even though he's the second greatest player of all time, like he's just another big star that played for LA. You have Kobe, you have Magic, you have basically the three. You have 2 to 4 that played for the Lakers all time. like on an all-time list anyway. So Giannis, but the thing that makes him distinct in a sense is that he has one for Cleveland. Giannis has one for Milwaukee right now. Like you can put a lot of asterisks next to that 2016 one, but you don't. And people can put asterisks next to 2020, but I think as the years goes on, people are gonna forget about that. It's just gonna be, yeah, he has a freaking ring. So at that point, like I just don't think he'll care that, oh, I'm just gonna be the next big star that plays for this team, like anything unique, because he's already something unique. Who else is gonna win a ring for freaking Milwaukee? Like the only other player there's Kareem.
Yeah.
I asked this question the other day. Who is the greater buck of all time right
Kareem.
now? I'm going with Giannis, man.
Not Kareem. I get it. Defensive player of the year and multiple MVPs. You have a ring here. Kareem has the same accolades. And I'm not gonna lie, it's for a little bit longer of a stretch. Now, give it a couple. If he stays with the Bucks, hell yes. I think it's Giannis because a large part of what makes Kareem legacy was those Lakers years. But right now, I'm still taking Kareem.
I have a hard time because Kareem was what made the Bucks franchise what it is. His first 5 seasons, they won over 55 games, but
Didn't
his
he win
6th
one
year
with
there, they
Oscar?
missed the playoffs. Yeah, he won. Yeah, I'm saying he won 55 games first 5 years and title with Oscar his 2nd season there. He also missed the playoffs his 6th season, winning 37 games, and he was gone after that.
Yes.
I think Giannis has already, in terms of legacy, he has fulfilled a little bit more. And we're comparing,
I mean,
two all-time greats. We're going to have to
as
nitpick.
time goes on, people are getting more and more comfortable with moving Kareem out of the top 5, which is insane to me.
Yeah, he's top 3 for me.
Yeah, he's top 3 for me, but I can understand why certain people would have Magic over him. I don't understand the Kobe stuff. I don't understand Kobe over him because the highest I have Kobe is like 5 or 6, but I don't understand the Kobe over him. But I'll give it some thought. But I just with how people are easily moving him out the top 5 already just because of how long ago it was. I I I think giving Giannis another couple years at the Bucks, another maybe couple deep playoff runs, then yeah. Especially if
He's
he
had
wins like
4.
another MVP or another Defensive Player of the Year, then yeah. But I still gotta take Big Ream for right now.
Respect. And for me, the way the GOAT debate should work, it should be the best players from each era coalesce into one. And the reason why some people may not be as high on Kobe is because him and Duncan were the 2 best players. It wasn't like one was over the other.
Yeah,
In
but I
terms of
don't
legacy, he has a bigger one
not
because
every
Kobe.
era or decade is equal though, because the 70s was
But here's the thing: you have to match up players to their contemporaries. Otherwise, the newest iteration of someone's always going to be better than the
yeah,
previous model.
but that's what I'm saying. Like the competition for I'm not saying competition compared to now. I'm saying the competition for Kobe and Kobe's time was a lot better than the competition for Kareem during Kareem's time.
For
Like
sure.
at most, the biggest competition you had, Bill Russell already retired, but biggest competition you had at the time was when you saw Wilt. And Wilt was at
Bob
the tail.
McAdoo.
Yeah, but when at the tail end of it wasn't. Wait, Bob McAdoo was he on the Lakers at the time, or was he still a
He was
Clipper?
in Buffalo.
Yeah, he was still a Clipper. Who the hell gives a
Or Brave, actually. Make
man?
sure.
Who cares about Bob McAdoo? Great, still sucky ass team. Um, um, the 70s was just full of so much freaking cocaine, and genuinely, some players just were in and out. Just their careers were either cut short because of the drug use or just overall the talent just wasn't there to dominate while Kareem was just that overwhelming force. So he's able to it's just very hard for me to be honest. I wouldn't even mind having Magic over him all time just because of it was such a depleted decade in the 70s, yet you're only able to get one.
Yeah, level of competition was much higher, especially once the I would say 1980s and up is where the
Oh yeah,
competition
no,
really
no.
picked up.
The
You're right.
80s
Then
You're
you got the
honestly.
influx of Bird and Magic coming in.
the
And a
80s wasn't
couple
as
years later,
crazy as the
MJ.
90s, but I think it's a little bit underrated. The 90s was a bloodbath. The 90s, early 2000s was a bloodbath.
There are in the Western Conference alone. You had Utah,
You
Houston,
have to win 50 games to
Portland,
be an
Los
eighth seed, bro.
Angeles, and it's been like that ever since almost.
And the West is falling off a little bit now, but like genuine you had
Really, the Lakers may not make the playoffs this season. That's how deep the Western Conference
the West
is.
is
No, I think
top the West
is
is
back
top
this
heavy.
year. I think the West is back this year. But the last couple of years, it's kind of been iffy.
Last
But this
season it
year,
was
it's
weaker.
especially coming back.
It was the West right now is Golden State, the Clippers, the Nuggets,
Minnesota.
Minnesota is not Memphis. The thing with
Don't
Met,
disrespect Minnesota like that.
yes, I'm disrespecting Minnesota like that.
Anthony Edwards
I'm
will be a
not one of
top
the
10
guys that
player.
hate Rudy. I understand how good Rudy is. I just don't. I just.
How
I
about
want to
Ant-Man?
see how that fits first. I want to see how that fits. I believe in Ant. I don't believe in
He's
Cat.
going to be better than Donovan
I
Mitchell.
don't believe in
And
D'Angelo Russell or Cat.
Cat at the 4. Oh, yeah, I'm not high on D'Lo, but in the regular season, he's amazing for them. As a playmaker, it fits perfectly with Rudy. And Cat playing the 4, OG, Chilltown Hoops made this comparison. It reminds me a lot of Dirk Nowitzki and Tyson Chandler.
I'll
And I
give.
think Cat in this stage of his career is on the same level as Dirk at that stage when Dirk was 33 to 32. And look, Rudy Gobert is much better than Tyson Chandler was.
I'll give Minnesota the chance that they could definitely be a top 4 team in the West, but I just have to see how well. I just have to see how they play together before I make a actual decision on how good they are.
Chris Finch gives me the benefit of the doubt because he's a player that's worked with Boogie and AD's gotten the most out of them. He was great with Jokic in Denver. That is the exact coach I trust. If their coach was Doc Rivers, yeah, maybe I wouldn't believe in this, but Chris Finch has consistently gotten the most out of all of his offenses. His weakness has been his defenses don't get better with him everywhere he went as an assistant. Now with Rudy, you are an automatic top 10 defense when you just look at Jaden McDaniel still being in the starting lineup.
I'm so high on. I need to make a video on him because he was the only player that was ranked top. That was ranked top. I think top 10 in both 3-point shooting efficiency and defense at the same time. Like that's actually insane for somebody that
Jaden?
young. Yes, Jaden McDaniels. Like it's
He wasn't supposed to be a defensive wing stopper when he came into the league. He was a shot chucker.
Yeah, his brother wasn't his brother supposed to be better?
I don't know. Jaden was ranked 7th in his 2019 class. His brother was not in the top
Oh,
10.
his brother's older than him. Never mind. Yeah, normally the NBA has this weird thing with the younger brothers always the better one. Surprisingly.
Yeah. His brother wasn't ranked top 100, dude.
Yeah.
But let me say with Jaden, he shot 31% from 3 last year, and to start the season, he was pretty bad. He couldn't get to the foul line. But the kid was 20 years old. And in the playoffs, he was incredible for Minnesota on both
He's
ends.
definitely gonna step in the Vando role. But he's
yeah,
stepping the Vando role, but with extended range.
I agree. And you want to know why? The Vando role, I love Jared Vanderbilt as a player and the energy he brings, but that was not replicable. You can't mass produce the style he played defensively, where you're putting in so much effort and you're exerting so much intensity and force just to be the 8th best defense, and that falls off the 14th when you try to do that throughout an entire season.
I wish they
The
were able to
way
keep him because him next to Rudy. I mean, the spacing would have been god awful,
you
but
wouldn't
that
be able to play
defense would have
those
been,
two.
huh?
It would be unplayable on offense, though. Because Jaden is, or
I think that's
Vando is
if
a
those.
center on offense.
Yeah, I would say if that's how if you play those, then your majority of our offense would have to come in transition. But
Yeah, I can't go there. I think
I think
not
if you
only
play
is
D-Low Cat, never mind. No, it'd be different if Rudy or Vando had at least a mid-range jumper. Neither of them have that, so yeah, never mind.
yeah, Rudy's. I see him shoot a couple threes in there, either air balls or hitting the side of
I
the rim.
swear to God, if I see him touch a 3-point line, I'm benching him immediately. What the hell are you thinking?
Start to dry heave.
I will
But
turn off that game immediately if I see him ever take a freaking 3.
whatever team gets Vando will be very happy because his rebounding and defensive intensity is unparalleled in almost any game,
How old
especially
is
off
he?
the bench. He's like 25, I think, because he was dealing with so many injuries when he came into the league. He
Oh,
may be
then
younger. He's 23.
they could
Yeah,
get
he's that young.
Utah can probably get some good capital for him, to be honest, especially with how inflated the trade market is already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's just a high end. He's only getting you 7 points a game now, so I don't know if you're getting
Yeah, but
first. Maybe a few
you're not getting him
seconds.
for defense. If any, I'll take him on the Heat any day because I get. No, never mind. I wouldn't want to play him next to Bam. That would force Bam to start taking threes way too early.
So the NBA released its Christmas schedule, and I think out of all sports leagues, they do a pretty good job. Brad and I, on our last episode, we're talking about the NFL Thanksgiving schedule and how it's always leaving a ton to be desired. You look at the games at noon, we got Knicks 76ers. I think that could have been a different New York team that would have been a little bit better. Then at 2:30,
I would have
Dallas.
said Toronto 76ers if that was the case.
I'm back again to that in a second. Then at 2:30 we got Dallas against the Lakers. 5 o'clock Boston versus Milwaukee. That's an amazing game. I love those matches. I mean, there's nothing more fun to me, except one. 8 o'clock we got the Grizzlies versus the Warriors. That's another really good game. And then at 10:30 Denver versus Phoenix. I wanted to see Ben Simmons play in Philadelphia on Christmas Day. I just did. I mean, there's no other way to
Well,
start
I
it.
got something
That
I
would have
need
been
to
an
I need to
amazing Christmas
I got
present.
something I need to get off my chest. Where
We
the
didn't
hell
get
are
one.
my Miami Heat? Are you kidding me right now? The disrespect Miami gets year in and year out, where they barely get televised nationally. I know
While
Romaine told
consistently
us
being a
before
top team.
we were talking before the show started, and he lives in Miami, so he gets to watch it, on his local channels and whatnot. But I'm up here in the East Coast in Connecticut. I don't get to see my Miami Heat locally, so I need to have these national televised games. And I
We only
remember
have 11.
last
We
year.
only have 11
Yeah, I
this year.
remember last year we were playing Boston. We play Boston, I think, 3 times a year, I believe. One of the games wasn't even televised. I was
Two of
like, what
them.
the hell
Two of
is
them.
this? For
Two of
national,
them.
I mean, nationally televised. I was like, what? I can't watch my Miami Heat and Boston Celtics, two of the best teams in the East, compete. Why are the Knicks?
No. I'll give you one thing. The first time we played again, they were not. They were still on
They
their
weren't,
downward
yeah.
trend.
But later in the season, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just I understand why the Knicks are on there. It's like the Cowboys; they're a big market team and whatever. But it's just
I don't
like
even think. I don't even think that. To be honest, I don't even think they're. I think people overstate what New York is right now. I don't even think they're that.
yeah.
I don't even think they're as big of a market as
I
people
mean,
But
they sell out all the time.
look, they are the mecca of basketball. For as much as you want to say about the franchise, I'm right outside New York. When you go into the city, I don't know about how much it is Miami because I've only been to Boca, but literally every single corner has a basketball court, and the culture is so strong.
I'll
It
say this:
reinforces the sport
if
there.
the Dolphins were better, it'd be a football town. But it's a basketball town because Miami's been so consistent and so good. But if the Dolphins were a top team, I mean, aren't they one of the top teams in the NFL?
Well,
At least
They
think
have a
about
lot
it.
of
Like,
upside
I don't know
this
how old
season.
you are, Romaine, and you don't have to say if you don't want to. But I wasn't alive then. But Dan Marino, it was a football town when Marino was in town. But then it became once Dwayne Wade started taking over, and towards like the mid to late '90s, the Heat started making a kind of run. But it wasn't until Wade came to Miami
I
that
don't
it
even think
really,
it was Wade's championship and then University of Miami
yeah,
winning the title, and
yeah,
then
oh yeah,
that's what
oh
really
my
That
God,
was
those early
Udonis, right?
2000s,
Where did
yeah. I
Udonis go to
think
school? Was it Florida?
it was UF.
Yeah, it
I
was
think it was
Florida.
UF.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it was
It was
Florida.
UF.
Okay,
Yeah,
But
sorry.
those Miami. I'm all
No,
mixed
yeah,
up.
the
yeah, the
Miami
University.
Hurricane teams were that was with like
Or
Ed
no.
Reed. Um,
Joakim Noah.
Oh, we're talking two different sports. Those
oh my
Miami
bad. I
football
thought
teams.
those football teams were stacked
They
up.
had Ray Lewis and then Ed Reed. They had Vince Wilfork in there and Frank Gore. Those teams were
It was
insane.
Oh no! But UM at random times just normally just take over for some like basketball. They had basketball at the time. They had what Al Horford, Joakim Noah.
Corey
Wasn't Jeff Green
Brewer.
on that team?
So I think it's Corey Brewer.
Corey Brewer, yeah. Then you have then you have who's always just random times is always great in football too. It's genuine. They also sometimes do take over baseball a little bit. Well, we're not gonna talk about that. Because I don't think any of us really watch baseball that heavy.
no.
I'm a
I can't
Yeah,
even
casual
say I watch it at
baseball
all.
guy.
I'm not even casual. I don't even watch. I'm not
yeah,
even gonna
no, I
lie to
don't
you.
watch either. The Christmas Day games for NBA this year. I don't have a problem with it. I like the matchups. I mean, one thing I would like to see the Clippers on there, but I understand why they weren't. But the one thing is just Miami Heat. I mean, every team here was a playoff team last year,
Lakers,
except
no.
for the Lakers. Okay, yeah, the Lakers and the Knicks. The Lakers, I'll give them a pass because it's LeBron and AD and it's La La Town. Man, I get that.
Yeah,
La La
if
Land.
New York had a big star that they just weren't winning, I would understand. But it's the fact that the biggest attraction you have is Julius freaking Randle.
Yeah, and
I'd
it's
say
just
it's
like
RJ. I think you're
I
being a little
just
too
don't
nice to
understand why.
Julius. I
Hmm?
think you're being nice to Julius. I
Star?
think Brunson may be a bigger star than him.
I mean, right now because he was the signing, but I'm not gonna look. Julius had a down year, but it was a down year where he still averaged 20. Like I'll
That
give
held
him.
no weight.
It held no weight because they lost everything. But I'm just saying, like I don't. He's just being the only one coming onto a year where one team's already realizing you're the number one option now, so they have to plan for you way more extensively. And then now you being the only really viable offensive option because RJ was pretty inefficient. Even though he did take jumps, which is I think he's going to take a superstar jump this year with RJ, but genuinely he was inefficient. They didn't. Derrick Rose in and out of the lineup. Evan Fournier was a big mistake. Kemba was an even bigger one. So overall, he was their only viable offensive option, and he wasn't able to produce the level he was before because teams knew how to play him now, and he didn't have another offensive option to take the pressure off. So I think a little bit of the blame is a little bit too much on him. And Top Thibodeau also sucks.
He also tried to use Evan Fournier as Reggie Bullock, which is not how you use Evan Fournier.
Yeah, Evan Fournier is more of he's a great shooter, but he's definitely a scorer more than a set shooter.
Yeah, he can do some stuff off the dribble.
Yeah, he definitely is a guy that is definitely better when you mix in his touches with some on-ball opportunities instead of just using him as a dead eye. Really,
He was the lead perimeter creator in Orlando for a reason. He's a pretty solid one at that.
he had the number one. He has the most threes in the season for New York right now ever.
Yeah, he was top 5
He holds a
last
record
year.
now. Yeah, he holds a record now.
And I think the Knicks are heading in a good direction with Quentin Grimes, and I'm a huge RJ guy. I like Franz Wagner more, but I gotta be honest. Why are the look? I get the Knicks being on number one. I want to see the Nets there. I can't stop thinking about that. But secondly, I want to see the Battle of LA. They tried to push that in 2019 when all those
Clippers couldn't hold up there in the bargain.
Yeah, and the Lakers won't. You're saying?
No, I said the Clippers didn't hold up their end of the bargain in 2020.
But look at the last 2 years. Clippers made the They didn't make the playoffs. They made the postseason. They made the play-in.
Yeah, but Lakers got injured. I can't really say much.
But
and then this year the Clippers. Huh?
So did the Clips.
They made the playoffs. They just got doused by the Suns. But the Clippers entered the playoffs healthy. They were injured throughout there, but they entered the playoffs healthy. The Lakers, AD didn't play half the series, and LeBron was holding his groin the whole time. And they still took Phoenix 6 games.
The Clippers were going to the finals if Kawhi stays healthy.
Yeah, they took the Suns.
And they most likely.
Yeah, they get that ring.
They probably get that. They get
that ring.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They were playing. Kawhi was starting to play his best bat. I mean, Luka.
The way I see it, the Phoenix Suns were able to push the Milwaukee Bucks to 6. January should have been 7.
Yeah.
But Devin Booker played kind of bad in those first couple games. Though he had 2 back-to-back 40 pieces. So I think
they didn't play good defense on Giannis.
I mean, they didn't have the personnel to. They couldn't.
But Monty decided to stick one-on-one with Ayton instead of trying to build a wall at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, Milwaukee was already shooting lights out in that series. You build a wall with Giannis. Giannis has already become a better playmaker. Chris Middleton was lighting them up that series. I didn't expect him to play that well in the finals. I really didn't. But he was already lighting them up. Drew was playing better than he was before, and he was genuinely playing like regular season Drew, who was a 40% shooter. Pat Connaughton was hitting everything that touched his hands. Genuinely, if you build that wall, the other guys could beat you. They were shooting that well.
Yeah.
So I understand why it just didn't work with Phoenix, but it still pushed you to 6 games. And the Clippers without Kawhi was about to dice Phoenix. So genuinely, if Kawhi was able to make it to that finals, not only do the Clippers have the personnel to build the wall and so scramble the 3-point shooters to make it difficult because they have better perimeter defenders, the offensive push that the Clippers have is bigger than Phoenix. Chris Paul, great floor general. It's just the overwhelming force of a Kawhi and PG playing at the top of their game, because PG, best of the best of PG, is a top 10 player in the NBA. Yeah. You just don't get that top. You just don't get him in top form as much as you want to. But he was playing top form, so you get top form Kawhi and PG at the same time. I think that's way too much of a dominant force that year, and I definitely think they would have gotten the ring if Kawhi was able to stay healthy. But that's the problem. You do the whole load management throughout the entire year to avoid that problem, and then look, the problem still found a way to break his way in. He got injured.
Yeah, it was kind of a freak accident though. Joe Ingles just bumped his knee, and it just, I mean, but yeah, Kawhi's been dealt a really bad hand in terms of injuries, because I think if he doesn't really get injured,
but his reputation should be in the dirt, but people still hold him to such a high standard, and I don't know why.
I was just about to say, I hold him to the highest standard. I think he's the second best player in the league right now.
Damn, that's
and
crazy.
I'm telling you right now,
did you see him when healthy last postseason?
Huh?
I understand when he's healthy, but that's the problem. When is he? That's the only time in the past 4 years where he has been. That playoff run was the only time. Even in the bubble run, even he was playing with an injury at the time too, which is part of the reason he played so bad. But obviously, he also played bad because he played bad.
Well, he averaged 29 on 49% shooting in the bubble.
Yeah.
If Kawhi won that championship against Milwaukee, he would be the ipso facto best player in the planet.
I think people right now it's hard to rank him all time because the man has a lower career average and less career totals than freaking Andrew Wiggins. But then you have years where he's 26 points per game, 27 points per game, 25 points per game, 67 win season at one point with the
Two-time,
Spurs.
two-time
When
defensive player of the year,
Yeah, how
two-time
many
defensive
guys
player
have
of the
two
year.
Finals MVPs and two
two finals
Defensive Player of the
MVPs.
Years?
Yeah, it's the accolades when he is playing is insane. It's just one, he's been way more injury prone than people would like to admit.
Oh yes.
And again, he's another guy that should have the street clothes label, just like Anthony Davis, that doesn't get it. And in a sense, let's be real here. He's choked in some pretty big moments. I understand he was young with San Antonio when he missed those free throws that would have sealed that game 6 if he made them. The next, not next year they won,
Yeah.
but in 2015 I think, who did they play? I know that was
the year they won
I think that was
67
the
in
That
year
was like
16.
Tim Duncan
They
and
lost to the
that was-
Tony
Clippers
Parker's
in the
last
first
year. No,
round in 15.
yeah.
they lost to the Clippers. Oh, right. And
Kawhi
I don't
hadn't
think he played
taken
well
over
that
yet.
year.
Kawhi takes over the team when
2017.
LaMarcus comes in,
Yeah, the year he was averaging
and then he gets
25 a
injured.
game
And then he
mean
gets
2016?
injured by Zaza
by
Pachulia.
Zaza. Then he takes off that next year. Then he goes
Yep.
to Toronto.
it's
He goes to
2017.
Toronto.
Wins the
He does the
championship.
load management. And I hate that. I love Toronto. I'm happy they got it, but I hate that ring so much because they got so lucky in so many ways.
But
You played Orlando in the first round. You mopped the floor with them. Cool. You go against what, Milwaukee, I think?
It was
Or
Philadelphia.
76?
Second round.
It's Philadelphia in the second round. You got the luckiest bounce I've ever seen in my damn life on that jumper. The luckiest bounce I've ever
That
seen.
Philly team was stacked, though, and it speaks volumes as to how
That's another
rounded
team
the
that-
Raptors were. The
That's another
Raptors are
team
top
that
5
should have
coach.
won one. That's another team that should have won one. No, they're both all round. You have Jimmy Ben Simmons when he was
Not afraid to take a lap.
Yeah, not afraid. And you had Joel Embiid, even though Joel played bad. And then you have Fred VanVleet that was showing out that time. Kyle Lowry that was still a top 10 guard in the game at the time, I think. Siakam that was both
Norman
teams were very
Powell,
well rounded.
Stormin Norman, and Danny Green knocking down
both
shots.
teams was extremely well
But
rounded.
you do got to give Kawhi
the Sixers had
credit
no
of that.
depth.
He was the guy. Like there was no other superstar or star on that team. He was the guy.
Yeah, but then you play the Warriors in the next round, and the Warriors again. Klay was ready to destroy y'all single-handedly in that fourth quarter, and then he got injured in that game 6. So and then he got injured. KD played all of 11 minutes and then popped his ACL again, and it still took you 6 games to beat that Warriors team.
But guess what?
So it's like you play who's in front of you.
That's the price you pay when you have a top-heavy team and one of your stars goes down, another star goes down. Guess what? You are depleted.
Yeah, but I think even teams that are very well-rounded, even when teams that are very deep, if you lose 1 or 2 stars, you're still not going to be anywhere close to the same. I think either way.
That was the year the Trailblazers had the best shot at making the finals because the
They never stood a chance. They didn't have KD and they got swept.
Steph let it be known that don't ever put me in a conversation with Dame ever again.
Yeah, and people still tried to after his 2020 injury, which was ridiculous. But with that being said, Kawhi averaged 35, 10, and 4 in that year's finals. And look, people love...
Wait, 35?
In the finals? Kawhi averaged 30... No, sorry, that was the Philadelphia series. I'm looking at the wrong series.
Well, he averaged 35 in that 7-game too. That's actually... You have Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler on you on different times. You still average 35.
But Jimmy couldn't guard him. Jimmy could not guard him in that. And I love Jimmy. I do.
They're around the same. They're around the same height too. Kawhi's just a lot stronger.
Kawhi averaged 29, 10, and 4 in the finals. Siakam gave him 27 and a half and 4. Let me say one thing. It's relating to, real quick before I move on to the redraft, it's relating to what they call an asterisk. I know people value championships differently based off of their personal opinion, but there is no such thing as such. Outside maybe the bubble because of the circumstances.
Historical context, they're just gonna look at the amount of championship have, not the difference in like how they. The only ones that really do have that type of stipulation is 2016 and 2011. Those are they're just iconic enough that people name those as separate championships, but genuinely people just like, oh yeah, he has 1 or he has 2 or he has 3.
You can do that with LeBron and Dirk's championships, but every single year is an asterisk because in order to win a championship, you need luck. You don't win a championship without luck. It's just impossible. 2011 Dirk does not win without LeBron James choking. In 2012, LeBron and the Miami Heat caught a great break going up against an OKC team that
I'm not gonna lie. Golden State this year, that was the closest thing to a perfect championship I've seen in a
Oh,
minute,
I
to be
agree.
honest.
That's the one year you can't really hold anything. But they
Yeah, I
did get
guess
luck. They stayed healthy in
I
the
understand.
postseason.
I understand that you didn't play. The Nuggets weren't healthy all year, so you can't even say they weren't healthy. They just didn't have the two stars. So, but even then, I don't see them beating them. Memphis was completely healthy. It doesn't. The You play better without Ja than with Ja. Like you beat the Warriors by 50 without Ja. So it's hard to say how well they would have played even those last two games. And then what? Who did they? You meet a fully healthy Dallas team that you still mop the floor with. You get to Boston, the best defense. People are counting them as the best defensive team in decades, and Steph mopped the floor. Like genuinely, the closest thing to a perfect ring without an asterisk, I think, in the past decade is that one.
That game 4 performance by Steph, was it?
Wasn't that his stinker? No. Game 3 was his stinker. Because no. Game 4 was in Boston. Every game he played in Boston, he played well.
Was one
Every
of the
game in Boston, he played
greatest
well.
games I've ever seen in the
Yeah,
finals.
I think the
You know
stinker
what? No,
was
I would agree with that point that like the last decade, probably this year was the one with.
the least you
Well,
could
no,
say about it.
I mean, Milwaukee's championship has an asterisk.
KD, that foot, and you managed to find a way to
Oh,
play Trae
yeah,
Young in the
yeah.
conference
You can use the
finals.
asterisk with any
Okay.
run because James Harden,
Okay.
within 30 seconds against the Bucks, has his hamstring go out, Kyrie's
Yeah.
injury, and look, even
Blew up his
if
knee.
KD, I thought it was
No, it was
ankle.
ankle. It was his
Yeah, that was
ankle.
bad. If KD just had enough juice, he would have still beat them on his own, but he ran out of it because he was playing 55 minutes, no rest. His only rest was when they were losing. I think it was game 6 by a decent amount, and
Not if
Steve
he had
Nash
enough
took him
juice. If
out.
he just had a one size less of a shoe, he would have won.
There were so many extenuating circumstances that played into Milwaukee's favor. And then against the Hawks, if Trae Young stayed healthy, I don't think they win that series. So they had a lot of
Yeah, you
things
look
going
at
their
them
way.
when they played the Heat. Yeah, they mopped the floor with us, but that series would have been a lot more difficult if, again, we were healthy. Again, we had 2 months rest going into that season, and then Jimmy and everybody was injured throughout the entire year. Like genuinely, that Heat team, that Milwaukee Bucks team, was so depleted and so tired at that point. Genuinely, I didn't see that series going past 5, and it ended in 4.
The Brent
Yeah,
Forbes
so
series.
Milwaukee's definitely, you can use it. Like we can go back, like Toronto's, obviously KD being out. What 2018 the Warriors? It's the freaking 2018. We both know what it is. 2016, Draymond, Bogut, Steph. 2015, Kyrie, K Love. 2014, D Wade at the time actually, because D Wade was not only batshit screwed. They didn't have to play OKC before they got to the finals. So they got 2013 again, freaking batshit lucky with some of those shots that they hit. San Antonio, Greg Popovich made the worst decision possible, taking Tim Duncan out. Like genuinely, like this 2012, damn. That's actually another one that's probably close to perfect. Now that I think about it. I mean, not competition wise, because there's definitely better competition than the young OKC team, but overall, just playing the best teams. Probably that's another one that just because 2012 was, we played a healthy Boston Celtics team, and then LeBron had the greatest game of his career with that 45. I think the series before
That
that we
game 1
played
performance in 2018 might be over that. I'm not sure. Those 2 performances were
Mm-mm,
insane.
mm-mm, mm-mm. One ended in, I'm not gonna lie, this is where I take the win over. And the thing is, LeBron had to play that full 2018 game 1. He didn't have to play the full game. He was dominating that game to the point where Boston gave up before the middle of the third quarter. Like he genuinely, like I was watching that game. That was one game I got to watch in full, and I felt bad for them because
Yeah.
he missed the first 2 shots of the game, and he still went. He made the 17 out of the next 18.
I had to
Like
replay that game.
fadeaways, bump fadeaways,
He was just trying
pull up
shit, he was
jumpers,
saying.
threes, put back dunks. Get to the, like genuinely, the offensive package was genuinely insane. Like every single time he made a shot, there was one moment where you just saw Rondo just looked at his hands, just like, what am I supposed to do? Like it's like that game is not even the totals. I get 45 isn't the highest, but just the performance is just how you felt watching it. Just let you know that this was probably the best performance of his career.
Yeah.
The only one that I didn't even hold. I think the 51 is the third because that game 2007 against Detroit, I have that as second.
Detroit.
Last question for this Christmas Day topic, and then we can move on to the redraft. What game are you guys most looking forward to on the Christmas Day schedule?
Bucks, Celtics.
Bucks, Celtics.
Bucks, Celtics, or Warriors, Lakers, depending on how good
Warriors,
the Lakers
Grizzlies. The Lakers got the Mavericks.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Right. No, okay, you never. Yeah, definitely. Because Christian Wood and Luka, I would love to see if they're able to mesh well into the Christmas Day game. That's going to be a top team in the league. And then depending on how the Lakers look, and LeBron always decides to show it on Christmas too. So I generally do want to see that.
That's the game that I was looking at. Lakers, Dallas is the game I'm most looking forward to.
I just want storylines, and I feel like almost none of these
I
outside
love
the
that
first
they
two have.
included this rivalry week thing because that's genuine. That genuinely looks nice. Like they're finding ways to just bring in fans, like the average fan to watch it. Like these are genuinely like great ideas. And having a rivalry week is generally a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if some of the teams they picked are technically rivals, but it's a good idea.
I do, yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's one playoff series. I don't know why we have to watch the Hawks and the Knicks every freaking.
That's the something they're trying to create.
It's just one series. New York hates Trey, so I understand why. But like, it's no rivalry.
Playing that game, huh? He didn't even play in that game. He was in protocol.
Playing that game, and they're still yelling "fuck Trey Young."
Yeah. Well, that's their only playoff appearance, probably maybe for any time soon. Now we're gonna move on to our final topic: the 2003 draft redone. Now, I know one of you two is going to want the Miami pick 5th overall, so I'll tell you what. I think, quite honestly, Brad, I think we should, because he can take the same player. I want to give our guest the 2nd overall pick. That way he can get the 5th. Cool with that? Unless the guest wants to take number 1, then he's not going to be picking number 5 when Miami's on the board. Oh, wait, I just realized Dwayne Wade's not going to be there. He's not going to,
Yeah, Dwayne Wade's
That's a lose-lose for you, dude. I'm sorry.
No, right now, obviously we all know who the number 1 is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking about the order before we jump in.
Yeah, it's it was what is it?
Oh, between us, I'm saying the orders: the Cavaliers number 1, the Pistons are the 2nd overall pick. You have the Denver Nuggets number 3, Toronto 4, Miami 5, Clippers 6, Chicago 7, Milwaukee 8, Knicks 9, Wizards 10, Golden State 11, Seattle 12, Memphis 13, and Seattle again at number 14.
I'm not gonna think about what the freaking Clippers roster was like to see what the fit would have been. So we're just gonna go straight off just the names here because going off fit for those teams, but like genuinely, LeBron, then D Wade at 2, with D Wade in Detroit. Damn, I don't know what that would have looked like. Because at the time they still had Rip Hamilton, so D Wade. Yeah, he would have come off the bench and I don't think he would have gotten the same level of like production his rookie year. So I don't know how his career would have turned out in Detroit. He would have had a ring earlier, that's for sure. Then what is it? Denver at 3, definitely still taking Melo.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, I have Chris Bosh all time over Melo.
I'm not gonna disagree with that because he had so many clutch moments in that 2013 title run. So the block on, was it
Danny
Green? Yep. And of course the kick out in the 4th quarter. Those 2 plays.
It's not even the clutch moments overall. Is Chris Bosh throughout the prime of his career, he was the 4th best power forward in the league. And then you say number 4 and like that's not crazy. It's Tim Duncan, KG, and Dirk ahead of him.
How about Pau Gasol?
Still, he was considered better than Powell.
I know it's tough because Powell is leading a team to like 50 wins in Memphis.
Yeah, and Chris Bosh was leading like 40. Toronto was just that bad, but he was leading the 40, 44, 45 plus win, dropping 24 and like I think 11 at the time. Great defender, one of the best. Like he genuinely the only forwards that were ahead of him were all-time greats, like top 20 all-time players type shit. Like so.
And we talked about Dwayne Wade's career being cut off way too short. Chris Bosh, tragically, I mean, before he knew it, one day he's lacing his shoes and his career's done, and he can't play again. At 31.
I'm gonna say we would have made the playoffs, and if he was able to stay healthy. The first year without LeBron, and the second year we should have been in the conference finals at least with him healthy.
Yeah.
But
I would think
Chris
so. I
Bosh.
think
Who
that'd been
was
Chris
who was
Anderson in
Denver's
2003.
four at
Juwan
the time
Howard,
or five?
James Posey.
Was Kenyon Martin still there? Or was Kenyon? No, that was when Kenyon was in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the definitely no,
I'm not
no,
the
never,
biggest Melo guy. I think
never
he's
mind. But what we
properly
know
rated.
now, I think they take
He's number
they
4. I
take
mean,
CB.
it's
They take
reasonable because
CB
I would
for
rather
over
have.
Melo. I think Melo drops all the way to 4 in this one. Then
No, he's definitely not a lock over T-Mac and Dwight
no, no,
Howard.
no, no.
I'm
Some
taking
people,
Dwight over
the
him,
way
and
some
even
people
I'm
see
taking
him,
Tony
it's
Parker maybe
generally
over him
insane.
too.
Like it's highly questionable if he should have been on that top 50, top
I was saying
75
Tony
list, and
Parker.
people think he's the lock.
Yeah, I think it's close. Vince's career is only like 4-year.
Yeah, no, genuine. Vince?
Yeah,
No. Vince has basically the same career accolades
I
as
would.
freaking.
He
No.
has
I'm talking
moments in
about
the
Vince
playoffs,
and
you know.
Melo.
Melo doesn't have that signature game.
Honestly, didn't Reggie
And
make it?
Vince's influence gets him in.
Would I take Reggie over Melo? I don't think I would. No, Melo has a good couple. Melo, I think it's because it was against Jordan. I think it's against Jordan, and since didn't Reggie make a finals? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think since Reggie made a finals, it put. I think people, but generally, I think they have the same amount of moments because those early Nuggets days where he was battling against Kobe and stuff was generally like some fun. Like it showed how good he was, and then coming to the Knicks, he not only did they give this team way more relevance than they ever should have had, he ran into the Heat, bro. I'm sorry. I can't like blame him for losing to that big three when J.R. Smith was your second best player.
Reggie
Even
Miller's
and
8 points in 9 seconds, though, that's one of the greatest moments ever.
yeah,
And the way he impacted the game in Indiana, he was the number 1 team that went to the finals. And sure, they got cleared, but I mean, that holds a lot of weight.
yeah, it's just the competition for Melo was a little bit steeper, so I understand, and so you understand where you would need to rank him next to those players. But all time, it's very hard to gauge. I guess yeah, you have to compare him to his peers. So yeah, I guess yeah, Reggie.
How are we deciding the draft order?
So usually when we do this, we'd have the 3 of us go back and forth up until 10 or 14. So that's what I was saying before.
I think the top four is locked already. We know where each guy goes. It's just the questions after that, because then you got guys like Boris Diaw, Barbosa, Josh Howard,
Chris
Capono,
Kaman.
Chris Kaman, Kyle Korver.
Mo Williams,
Mo
Yeah,
Williams, another All-Star. That's a good point. So
David West.
I think David West is
did
the
we
one
not
that goes
mention him?
fifth. I think David West is the ones that
I
go
thought you
fifth.
mentioned David West. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the 5th best player in this class.
yeah, and I think the next one is Josh Howard. I think Josh Howard goes sixth because
I
Josh
feel
Howard is
like
a 20-point per game scorer for a good couple years there.
in the
For that Dallas team that made for that Dallas team that made the finals, and for that Dallas team that won 60 plus games a couple of times, or 67 games and then 50 plus games a couple of times.
You can go either way, I feel, with him and Kaman, but I would lean Howard as well. Just because Kaman only had 1 season averaging over 16 a game.
I'm telling you right now,
2010.
looking at that draft right now, if we were so high on Chris Kaman, and then that one, I can't remember who was the scout that saw D-Wade's workout, but thank you God. Thank you. If I had to watch Chris Kaman I would have never gotten to basketball. I generally probably wouldn't.
That would have been tough, man. That would have been super
Yeah,
tough.
so I think is then at that point, it's a toss up. Do you take the Leonardo Barbosa, who he was in the Western Conference, so he wasn't going to be an All Star, but he was putting up All Star level numbers if he was in the East at some time with the Suns, or Boris Diaw he was so unique and effective winning in so many different ways that you'd probably have him up there. Mo Williams was also another All Star, but then you have to think like, would he have been an All Star if he didn't have LeBron on his team? Like,
No.
is okay, yeah, fine, yeah, we know.
Those elite defenses were what got them into that upper echelon
So
of the
it's
East.
just I would lean. What are we at 7?
We're at the 6th pick, aren't we?
No, wait, it was
David West at number 5.
and
So
then
we're looking
Howard.
at the Clippers.
I thought we were at Josh Howard at 6.
Oh, you're right. Josh Howard at 6 for the Clippers. Right. So we're at the Bulls number 7. They took Kirk Heinrich.
Oh, then Barbosa. If they're
You
gonna
know,
take if they're gonna take
What
her,
about
then
Kyle Korver?
we'll
Kyle
get to him.
Kyle Korver's there, but I think genuinely Boris, Leonardo Barbosa, Chris Kaman, and Mo Williams have to go over him
You're hitting a
simply because
soft
they had a
spot.
way higher peak.
You're hitting a
And
soft spot for me because I think Barbosa's nickname, the Brazilian Blur, just gives him bonus points. But Boris Diaw was just so underappreciated for how good he was as a secondary compliment. This Bulls team also just needs something to write home about, and none of these guys quite will, except for those two you mentioned, Diaw and Barbosa. I'll go with Barbosa with this one.
yeah,
Get that guard.
who was the next one? Who was the next team in that?
8th overall was the Milwaukee Bucks. They took TJ Ford, a player I thought would have panned out, but
Oh, if they
unfortunately
took TJ Ford, then I think Mo Williams would probably be the best choice at that
Yeah,
spot.
point
Then
guard.
they need a
that means
guard.
Boris drops again. So
But then with Andrew Bogut, it's not terrible, and it's not great either. So Mo Williams, number 8. Now we get the Knicks at number 9. They took Mike Sweetney.
I think that's where Chris Kaman goes. I think that's the spot that he slides in.
Sure about not Diaw now?
Like at the time, Diaw has way longer stretch of excellence, but I think peak when the couple seasons or the one season where he's fully healthy, Chris Kaman was definitely has a higher peak than him, but overall longevity, yes, Diaw. So it depends on what you want. Obviously, you're not gonna win with these guys being your number one. So who do you want as your tertiary? And I think I'd take Chris Kaman.
I'm with you on that. He's going to get points and rebounds in New York. Now we got
Number
the 10th overall pick, the Washington Wizards. This is an exotic team, which is why I think the exotic pick here is Boris Diaw.
Was this before they got this was right when they traded for Gilbert Arenas, or that was Gilbert's first couple of years, right? Because I
Yeah,
remember he was
Gilbert
on the
Arenas got
Warriors.
there in 04, so this
Yeah,
guy's
so
going to
this
be
is
meeting.
this is the okay. So then Boris Diaw. Boris Diaw and Gilbert Arenas would have been a nice duo.
That would have been so much fun to watch. That's what I'm saying. That's a sneaky underrated little dynamic duo right there in the pick and
It would
roll.
have been so cool because I think MJ retired this offseason, right? If MJ stayed
Yeah,
one
no,
more
he
year, we
retired
could have got to see.
He retired in 03. So he retired
Yeah,
the
because
year right
Arenas
before
came in
LeBron.
after.
Right before
Yeah, it
LeBron
would have
died.
been so cool to see like a LeBron versus MJ matchup.
It'd been so cool to see a LeBron, Kobe, and MJ all in the same All-Star game.
That would have been dope as hell, man. So number 10, who do we go with?
I think that's where Kyle Korver slides in.
We went with Diaw.
Oh, number 10, yeah, Diaw.
Diaw.
Well, who was 11? Who's the 11th? Oh, you're muted.
Warriors.
11 got the Warriors with Michael Pietrus.
Josh Howard.
No, we already have Josh Howard.
Pietrus.
We took Josh Howard.
Yeah, at 6.
Yeah, number 6.
Oh wow. Who's left?
Kyle Korver.
Oh yeah.
Pietrus and Kendrick Perkins.
Kyle Korver.
Yes, sir.
One of the best 3-point shooters of all time.
Yeah.
Top 5. Number 12 got Seattle. They took Nick Collison. For the culture, he may still be the pick.
We taking KP here?
I think for the culture, Nick Collison is the pick over Kendrick.
Nick Collison, he had a pretty long. He didn't produce crazy throughout his career, but he had a pretty long career where he was just a very stable role player. So yeah.
This guy's jersey retired. I don't know how many of these other guys can say the same in this
Yeah, but
category.
he got jersey retired based off just legacy award. It wasn't because of production. Let's be real.
Hey, but you can say the same thing to Udonis Haslem, couldn't you?
At peak, I say Udonis performed. And again,
Udonis was, but he was only like a real role player for like 5 or 6 years.
Udonis?
Yeah.
When did he come into the league? What, 2005?
Yeah, D-Wade's rookie year.
He came in. Oh yeah, he came in with. Okay.
No, was it?
I don't think he was D-Wade's rookie year.
2004 was his rookie year.
Right. Okay.
He was in France in 03.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say right now Udonis from 04 to 2011.
10? Okay.
I would say was his most productive years, and his peak in like the 06 to 08, I think was definitely higher than somebody like Nick Collison, which is wild that we're coming to Udonis Haslem to Nick Collison peaks. But yeah, and plus Nick Collison had a 14-year career. UD's pushing 20.
Yeah, he's also an assistant coach.
Taken in this draft.
Huh?
No, he
No,
was
no, no.
undrafted the
No, but
year
we're just saying
prior.
like right now the only players right now is KP, Nick Collison, like Luke Ridnour.
And Kendrick
What pick are we at? We
Perkins.
at 13 now?
We're at 13. I
Oh,
think
We took a
Michael
point guard.
Pietrus is not a bad option either in this group.
yeah,
He's
I'm
probably
a
one of the
uh,
more notable picks.
Capono.
Ooh, we haven't mentioned him yet, have we? That's another shooter, kind of like a neutered Kyle Korver, maybe.
Wait, did we pick Kyle already, right?
Who?
Did we already pick Kyle already, right? Corver.
Kyle Lowry or Kyle Korver?
Corver. We already picked Corver
Yeah.
early. Yeah, okay. Because I'm about to say, we
There's
haven't
also
picked
James Jones in this class as well. He's taken
James
2
Jones.
picks.
I'm not gonna lie. Throughout his career, the only reason he's remembered is because he was on those Heat teams. I'm not gonna lie. Even the beginning of his career was not even that crazy.
How about Jose Calderon, who was undrafted?
We
Ooh.
forgot about him. He was undrafted. That's good. I would have felt bad if we forgot him. I would have been
Never
very
mind. If
upset.
it's no, I can't
He
put. I
slipped
was gonna
off the
say.
board.
I was gonna say look at Kyle. I was say we maybe you have to push Kyle down a little. But no, Kyle had way too long of a career.
Yeah, Kyle is he was an all-star one season as well, and consistently one of the 5 best shooters in the sport, coming at like 12 to 13 points. And in terms of floor raising, floor spacing, I mean he's perfect for any team.
Ooh, okay. So then you're looking at 14. That's where guys like TJ Ford and Luke Ridnour are probably gonna make their name.
I think TJ Ford, if he had the injuries, he would be right here. But
Yeah.
if we're taking into account the injury, it's pretty tough.
Then I'd have Kirk Heinrich over him then, and then TJ Ford at 15.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Who'd we have going to jog my memory? The Knicks number 9?
Number 9. Let me see.
Was it Chris Kaman?
Yeah.
Okay. And the Warriors we went with.
We're doing the whole first round or just the
No,
lottery?
just the lottery.
When's the lottery ends at what?
14.
15. 14? Oh, okay.
That's the last
14?
pick.
So this is the last pick of the lot. Oh.
No, we have to get to Seattle after Memphis. So are we taking Nick
KP's
Collison?
time?
Are we taking Nick Collison with the 12th pick for the Supersonics?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got Memphis number 3. Oh, well, we also got Kmon. We finalized that. We have Jose Calderon and Kirk Heinrich, who still haven't been taken.
We took Jose, right?
No, not yet. They both have to go here. These next 2 picks. If
Those
not.
numbers in Toronto are a little way inflated. Let's be real.
Still, I mean,
He was able to
if you can
produce,
get
but it's
if you
just
can get a starter, I mean,
yeah, this late. It's just so crazy to see how deep drafts are now versus because right now you can genuinely get. I would say you can redraft the past like 4 drafts and find comparable role players or starters within at least 20 of them.
Yeah.
Which is insane when you're struggling to find like 15 here. Or we're not struggling. You have guys like Jarvis Hayes, Travis Outlaw, Willie Green.
yeah, Travis Outlaw is about to mention.
Keith Boykins, Zaza, Capono, Matt Bonner for a couple years, Kendrick Perkins. Like you have a lot of good players in here that just didn't get that just aren't like
Luke
this draft is
Ridnour,
genuinely
too.
deep.
If you watch Minnesota in the early 2010s, Luke Ridnour is a starter for them. So a lot of starting players. There's not relevant now because they weren't playing up, 15 points a game the way Grayson Allen is today. You know what I'm saying?
Generally this draft had about how many play? Yeah, this draft had nearly 30 players that played over 10 years in the league.
Yeah, that's true. Korver's going 11 just to the Warriors, right? Because he's getting taken out to the top 10, and Korver is like one of the most praised shooters of all time.
Yeah.
So this class is relatively deep. And we have last 2 picks here. I think Jose Calderon in Memphis. I mean, he's by far the best player in my opinion. Unless you want to go Heinrich, you can go either way with those 2.
I'm gonna go.
I might actually,
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Jose.
I might actually lean Heinrich, who was an all-defensive player in 07.
That's true.
17-6 a game, 45% shooting. Still a pretty good shooter as well, by the way. So I'm gonna go Heinrich instead. I don't know if you guys would agree.
Yeah, I'll get
And Jose Calderon be the last pick for Seattle at 14.
Yeah.
between him and Travis Outlaw.
Oh,
Okay, so to recap our draft, we did together a little bit different this episode. Number 1, the Cavaliers taking LeBron James. Number 2, the Detroit Pistons will take Dwayne Wade. Number 3, the Denver Nuggets will take Chris Bosh. Number 4, the Toronto Raptors will take Carmelo Anthony. Number 5, the Miami Heat will take, unfortunately, not the Dade County man himself. It will be David West. Number 6, the Clippers will take Josh Howard. Number 7, the Bulls will take Leandro Barbosa. Number 8, the Bucks will take Mo Williams, pairing up with Andrew Bogut. Bogut wasn't drafted yet, but in a few years, maybe he will. 9th overall, the Knicks will take Chris Kaman, putting up some points and rebounds. 2010, the Wizards will take 2010. Number 10, the Wizards will take Boris Diaw. Number 11, the Warriors will take Kyle Korver. Number 12, the Supersonics will take Nick Collison. Number 13, the Grizzlies will take Kirk Heinrich. And number 14, the Supersonics will take Jose Calderon. And my notes are the Wizards number 10, I put in David West a second time instead of Boris Diaw, and that threw me off. And by the way, before, when my light went off, is because I dropped my pen, which wasn't working. It turned off the power switch that is hooked up to my light right here. So that's, yeah. I was like, oh wait, now I look like I'm in the dark, which I was. I feel like we did a solid job. Kirk Heinrich should have been a top 11 pick. I think him going after Colson's a little bit disrespectful, but I wanted to make sure Nick
to be honest,
Collison
I would.
still went.
To be honest, I would say, yeah, see, it's still in Seattle. But I think, yeah, he generally should be over Nick Collison. I forgot the earlier parts in his career where he was genuinely a really like one of the better 3-and-D players in the league.
Yeah, really
not even
solid
3-and-D. He was generally just a really good point guard.
He was he's a good guard. I mean, I wasn't exactly something to write home about, but he was pretty good. And Barbosa went number 7, so I mean, we were a little bit disrespectful because those two are in similar.
He just came into the league. He just finished college, so he came in kind of older than everybody else. And by the time he was 27, he was already on the downward trend.
Yeah, he was a 23-year-old rookie.
Yeah, and then and then he had his best year when he was 26, and then he just dropped off slowly by the time he was 27.
Still think we did a decent job. Now, this is our last topic of the show.
Some people get mad at us for putting Chris Bosh over Melo.
Nah, I think we're fine. I would take Chris Bosh over him. I think many people would agree because Bosh is better. That being said, we're now on to Check It Up. My Check It Up topic was going to be NFL related, and then breaking news broke. I want to get a little bit of NFL reactions in here. Deshaun Watson, the NFL.
Oh, John, I just want to say right before, because I think I saw this and it relates to your thing. So I believe when Deshaun Watson comes back, he plays the Houston Texans.
Week 13 after his bye.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Deshaun Watson has been given a new suspension by the NFL, and it's been a settlement where he will be suspended 11 games and $5 million. This is not enough. Look, I'm not a lawyer.
I don't think he'll ever be enough if he still has a job in the NFL. I don't think anybody will feel good. Well, I wouldn't say anybody. Some people just turn a blind eye to stuff like this. But like, I think the masses won't feel good if he still has a job in the NFL. Like, genuine. Like right now, we see like how hard people are pushing for Miles Bridges not even play another game in the NBA for what he did. Like he had a qualifying offer removed. No teams. He's one of the better young players.
I thought the Hornets kept it.
They relinquished it. They didn't. Yeah.
Really?
So he's literally just free to do whatever he wants. And I see like he's one of the best young players in the league. People just don't want to pick him up because what he did was deplorable. So
who are you talking about?
Miles
Bridges.
Oh, okay.
So for Deshaun, wasn't it like 20? Isn't it like 20 different women that came forward, or 20
like
plus?
25, 26. I
exactly. So even if you want to lean towards like, oh my God, some of them just came up because clout or whatever. Like if it's 25 people, bro.
Allegedly 24.
Yeah, if it's 24, somebody's telling the truth. Somebody's telling the truth. And to be honest, with a lot of the evidence they have, it sounds like a majority of them are telling the full truth. So it's like genuine. When you're at this point, you're a serial like sexual assault. Yeah.
My issue is if he were not guilty, then how come when he reached an agreement with the team, they were saying you can't go to a masseuse outside of our organization? But it's like if he's innocent, then this shouldn't matter, right? He only reached out to 66 women for massages, which over 2 years is allegedly insane. I would think you would trust 1 or 2 people with your body, and once you find the right person, you would stick to them. So look, you can say that people had the idea that the Houston Texans are trying to tank his trade value after he requested a trade to get back at him, which makes remotely no sense if you're just gonna look at this from a straightforward
If
perspective.
anything, it'd have been better to just to trade him and then tank his value. Then,
Yeah,
there's no point in like hurting your team with this too.
yeah. It's not like I'm a Steeler fan saying this. If you were traded to the Panthers, I would have felt the same way. 11 games. I felt like he should have been suspended indefinitely and for the entire season. And quite frankly, this isn't enough for a player that I don't know how he's getting paid the most guaranteed money in the NFL after this, but it is the Cleveland Browns
Wait, he
organization.
is? I thought it was. I thought Patrick Mahomes was getting the more.
The most
No, he's
guaranteed
got
money.
Oh, guaranteed money. Okay.
Yeah, this is I
Or
think
I
Mahomes
forgot.
got the biggest
I
deal.
forgot the NFL is weird with those guaranteed deals. Normally, the NBA literally like 90% of your contract is guaranteed.
yeah.
Yeah. And there's not really much more for me to say. I mean, I think 11 games is ridiculous. No one's going to like it no matter what. And I'm not trying to sound like the internet's going to go crazy. I'm not trying to sound like another one of those
But at
people.
least the season.
But I felt like a season would have been warranted because this guy, he did not, he was not suspended last year. He chose not to play last year. And the weird thing about it is he pretended to be mad at Houston so he can get out of there. And I get that because Bill O'Brien basically ruined the team out of spite against DeAndre Hopkins, his number one weapon. But then all of this comes out right after. And I feel like after sitting out last season, he shouldn't play this season. I mean, it's ridiculous
Houston
to
was
me.
doing the right thing as a business and being completely transparent with everything that was going on. And he didn't like that because complete transparency made him look really, really bad. So I understand why he's angry and didn't want I wanted to leave. But I'm like, bro, you're a serial. Come on, bro. At this point, like this is a business. They can't tank their entire business just because you feel like you're being unfairly judged, which is a wild thing to feel right now. So at this point, a full season, but I don't really expect much else from the NFL when it comes to stuff like this. It's
Mhm.
always been like a slap on the wrist. A lot. They have a lot, like genuinely, a lot of their legends have had. I think the only one that's clean when it comes to stuff like this, like no, I'm gonna say the only one, but like is like Brady. I mean, he has the deflate gate stuff like that, but like genuinely when it comes to like sexual assault and stuff like that, like Ben Roethlisberger has one. Um, Peyton Manning has one. Um, there's genuine like a lot of the legends do genuinely have this it's been a problem with this domestic violence or sexual assault. It's always been a problem, and it's hard watching just constantly give him a slap on the wrist every time this happens.
But Calvin Ridley gets a full season for being a
Hell,
few grands in the game.
Ray Rice, even though I mean his wife came out publicly and says she forgave him and that they're still together, so I understand that. But even he, like, I understand like it was since it was on camera and you saw him like knock her out and then like I understand why that when you see it, you have to watch it happen. Why it's the bigger suspension? But Jenny, when you hear this stuff, you hear 24 different women, like that should ring alarm bells in your head, and you're just like, yeah, nah, he needs to be gone.
And if Ray Rice wanted to come back to the NFL, he could have, but he wasn't good anymore. The year before, he averaged 3.1 yards a carry. And that's why he never came back to the NFL. He
Yeah,
wasn't good. He was washed up. And that happens to many running backs
yeah.
after they
Deshaun
play for
Watson is
six
just
seasons.
is just talented, so
And he
he's
helps make
definitely
money. So,
yeah.
a lot. Yeah, I don't know how a Brown fan, maybe female, feels about this, watching him be the franchise leader and quarterback. It's ridiculous. Do you
Crazy.
guys have anything before we wrap this up?
I got something. So this weekend is a huge week for fight fans. Um, kick all this is all happening on Saturday. So throughout the entire day, it's going to be stacked with fights. So first up on the docket is PFL in London. Um, Kayla Harrison, 14-0, two-time Olympic gold medalist in judo. I think she's a two-time PFL champion because PFL is weird. It's different. They do by season. If you guys do follow MMA, it's by season. They do a different thing. So um, she's fighting Martina uh, Jindrova. There in PFL, there's not really any competition for Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison is quickly become one of the biggest female MMA stars in the world. The only two fights out there for her are Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes.
Chris Cyborg. That's
Yeah,
that's
Chris
an
Cyborg, and
insane name.
Yeah, those fights need to start materializing and happening. I believe Amanda Nunes one is probably farther down the line. If it might never happen because she's in the UFC, and the UFC will never do a cross promotion event, and they'd have to wait for Kayla to become another free agent, and it's just weird because I think in PFL's contracts they have a chance to match. So UFC is not going to pay her this abundance amount of money, where PFL's like, no, we're not going to match it. So I think the best chance for one of those fights happening is a cross promotion event with Bellator and doing Chris Cyborg versus Kayla Harrison. It would be a really big deal. You'd get this cross promotion fight of two of the top three MMA promotions in the world. Having their two best women's champions go at it would be a big deal. I see Kayla Harrison winning this fight. I mean, she should honestly dominate this fight. Next up, kind of happening at a similar time in the boxing world. I'm not the biggest boxing fan, but when some big fights happen, I'll tune in and watch. This one I might have on in the background, not really. It's just it's Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua, and this fight's happening in Saudi Arabia. Um, Anthony Joshua has not lived up to the potential that we all thought he was going to be. He lost to Andy Ruiz, got that one back. They never did a trilogy. Then he fought. Then he won another fight, I believe, against some can, and then he fought Alexander Usyk and lost a decision fight. Lost a decision, and we all thought he was leading to a Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight, one of the biggest heavyweight fights in the world, but it never materialized. Anthony Joshua couldn't get over the hump, and now Tyson Fury is quote unquote retired, and we're probably never going to see that fight. Um, and after that, we've got a I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this promotion, but BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Yeah, this is ruthless. The main event is really the thing to talk about. This is also happening in London. It's Michael Venom Page, MVP, versus Mike Perry. MVP is a Bellator fighter, but Bellator is letting him do this one-off fight in BKFC to fight Perry. Perry's a former UFC fighter. He's had one fight in BKFC. He's 1-0. MVP is the better striker, the better technician, but he's really not allowed to use anything but his hands, and that kind of might create a problem for him. But I still seeing him being able to get the job done. Um, he could finish Mike Perry. Mike Perry's a tough ass guy. He could finish him if he catches him on the button. Um, the method of victory for Mike Perry to win is he's really got to smother MVP, make it a grinding fight, hang on him, and bring it into the later rounds, and hopefully he can tire MVP out and catch him while he's doing a little dirty boxing. But I think that's an unlikely route to victory. I see MVP being able to get the job done. Then at the end of the night, we got the big pay per view, UFC. Um, I'll start off with the third fight of the main card, actually, and then work my way to the main event. We've got Jose Aldo, the number 3 bantamweight in the world, versus Merab Va- uh, Valashvili. Hard last name to say. He's from Georgia. He's the number 6 bantamweight in the world. Um, for me, I see this fight playing out. I could see either one winning, but what I see is Merab really spamming the takedowns, smothering, getting pressure. His conditioning is off the charts. He brings intensity. He's relentless. His wrestling is going to, I think, tire Aldo out, even though Aldo in a 3-round fight is extremely dangerous. I just think that Merab is going to chain together those takedowns, and he's really Aldo's going to probably have a tough time with the relentlessness of a Merab who's just going to, well, like I said, I mean, spam those takedowns like in a UFC video game. He's just going to spam them over and over and over again. The keys to victory for both those guys, for Aldo, he's got to get going fast. He's got to kick the legs early. He's got some of the best leg kicks in the game. He's got to keep the fight standing, and he's got to keep his back off the cage. Merab, his keys to victory is pressure, relentlessness, wrestling, smother, and use his conditioning to get that fight to a grueling decision win. Um, the odds are Aldo's a plus with 115 underdog, and Marab's a minus 135 favorite. Those odds might change, obviously, because I looked at this last night. For me, I would probably go Marab. You can probably parlay him together and get a nice a bonus there. In the co-main event, we got the return Paulo Costa, who's he's somewhere in the top 5 rankings of the middleweight division. I think he's like 3 or 4. He's 13-2. He's coming off two fight losing streak after being 3-0. He lost to Israel Adesanya, the champion, and Marvin Vittori, which Costa actually missed weight twice. So they fight at 185. He said he couldn't make 185. They moved it to 195. Then he said he couldn't make 195, so they had to move it to 205. And all props to Marvin Vittori for continuing and accepting those conditions. Now, Costa did have to forfeit 20% of his purse to Marvin Vittori, but listen, Vittori deserves that for having to deal with all that BS leading up to the fight, changing the weight twice on short notice. He's taken on a returning Luke Rockhold.
Wait, is that legal to do? Like
What?
I thought the weight class was very strict, like extremely strict.
They are, but like it was like a week before the event. So Costa was like telling the UFC, I can't make the weight. So they asked Marvin, and it was up to Marvin basically. Marvin could say, no, I'm not taking the fight. The fight's off. Or he could
You
say,
can't
all
do
right,
that. You can't do that though. Come on. If he said no, you know what the backlash is gonna be like.
no, they'll do. They don't like to do it, but it's they're allowed that right to say, you know what? No, listen, we both signed a contract for 185. I can make the weight. You can't make the weight. I'm not fighting you because you're trying to get an advantage over me. He accepted the conditions to go to 195. Then Costa said, "Oh, I can't make 195." So then they had to move it to light heavyweight at 205, and
That's
Marvin
okay,
decided to
nah,
say,
that's insane.
that's insane. I know, but all props to Marvin for saying, you know what? You're trying to get out of this fight, get advantages. I'm going to take the fight, and Marvin Vittori still was able to get the job done. So now Paulo Costa's taking on Luke Rockhold. He's coming back after he hasn't fought since 2019, and that was at 205. He's a former middleweight champion, but he was middleweight champion back in 2015. Since he won the title, his record is 1-3. Um, he's only had 4 fights since 2016. All 3 of those losses since the championship win have been by knockout. He hasn't fought at 185 since 2018. He's 37 now. He's going to turn 38 in October. I mean, he has a way to win the fight. I just don't know. I think the chin isn't there. By the way, all 5 of he's 16-5. All 5 of his losses are by TKO or KO. So the chin is always touchable, and it will go out if you hit it on the button. For me, Luke Rockhold, he said he's got his head back in the game. He's sober. I think he said 7 months now. So congratulations to him. He said sober off alcohol. He still does marijuana, and he's a mushroom guy too. He likes to be enlightened, I guess. Go check out his pre-fight interview yesterday. He was going off on the UFC and one of the Barstool sports guys.
I'm happy
But
I
Luke
didn't on
Rockhold,
Barstool.
Luke Rockhold, I just don't know if it's there anymore. If he comes in with the right mentality, he's got a way to win. And his keys to victory for me for Luke Rockhold is get the fight to the ground. You're a better grappler and wrestler. Get on top, and if it's standing, attack the body with your legs, attack the legs, because trying to stand in the phone booth with Paulo Costa is going to be very dangerous. For Costa's keys to victory are keep the fight standing, pressure him, volume, smother, and use your speed. If you ask me who's going to win this fight, I would say bet Paulo Costa by way of TKO or KO. I just think that he's going to be able to put that pressure on him. He's going to smother him. He's going to use his speed. and I think he's going to be able to get the job done. I don't see this really going. I could see it going in the second round, but I highly doubt it would go far into the second round. Now, in the main event, we've got the undisputed reigning defending welterweight champion of the world, Kamaru Usman. He's taken on Leon Rocky Edwards. This is a rematch. Their first fight was back in 2017. Usman is looking to tie Anderson Silva's record with most consecutive wins in the UFC with 16. If he get the job done here. Leon has not lost since that Usman fight back in oh wait, did I write that wrong? Sorry, their first fight was back in 2015. So Leon has not lost since then. He's on a 9-fight win streak. One of those was a no contest. It was an eye poke, and the fight ended. For me, their first fight was really strictly a wrestler versus striker. Leon was the better striker. He really had no grappling or wrestling background. Didn't know what he was doing. And Usman was a strict wrestler. Striking was not very good, not good at all. Usman was able to eke out a decision victory, basically wrestling him and getting a decision win. Now, both have improved in their weaknesses. Usman has become a better striker. He went to Trevor Whitman, who's a coach with Justin Gaethje and Rose Namajunas, and he's considered a striking genius, a striking wizard. He was able to get Usman. Now has a very nice jab. His striking is still elementary and still sloppy, but he's got the jab, which is a basic fundamental punch, and a jab can win you a fight. Go back and watch his Gilbert Burns fight. That jab won him that fight, basically. Leon has improved on his wrestling and his grappling. We'll see how it fares again in this fight. If you ask me, I think Usman's going to win this fight. I think it's going to be a very similar fight to his when he won the world championship against Tyron Woodley, but a little bit closer. I don't think it's going to be as dominant. I think it'll be a little bit closer, but it's going to be Usman pushing him up against the fence, grinding on him, taking him down, landing big shots, keeping him just up against the cage and not creating space or making this a striking fight, because Usman's got to stay away from that. He can't make this a striking affair. It For me, it's just, and one thing that people forget with Usman, it's not about the initial takedown attempt. It's the second, it's the third, it's the fourth, it's the fifth. His chaining it together. That gets tiring. That gets annoying as hell. When you're defending the first one, you're like, I got you. You're not taking. Oh, here comes the second attempt. I got you. Here comes the third. Now you're on your ass. You get up after 5 or 10 seconds. Guess what? You're getting taken back down again. That is tiring, and that gets really annoying, and it starts attacking your mentality and being like, wow, I'm feeling defeated right now. I see that happening in this fight. Now, I will say Usman is 100% overlooking Leon Edwards. He can say what he wants, that he's not. I do think he's taking him seriously, and I know it sounds like a contradiction. He's taking him seriously, but he's also overlooking him. He's before this fight, he's talked about moving up to 205 and challenging for the light heavyweight championship and going for double champ status. He's talking about Khamzat Chimaev, the new kid on the block at welterweight. He's talking about boxing Canelo Alvarez, which is insanely crazy. Leon is this hungry lion who's coming up and wants this so bad. That could play a factor, but I also just think Usman is super disciplined, and he's going to be able to lock in and get this victory over Leon Edwards. The keys to victory for this fight: Usman, wrestle, control against the cage, don't get into a striking fight, and mix it up smoothly. Leon Edwards, keep your back foot away from the cage. Fight your fight, trust your skills, and keep the fight standing. Because if you start getting taken down, that energy and that gas tank's going to go down. You're going to start feeling demoralized, and Usman's just going to take over and dominate. If you're going to ask me what I would bet on this fight, I wouldn't go it straight because Usman's a minus 400, and I would say Usman's going to win. So I would probably prop it and pick Usman as the Usman to win by decision. But that is the fights for Saturday. I'm super excited as a fight fan. I can't wait. And I will recap those fights with you on Sunday.
I've been trying to get into UFC like little by little, and then I never do. So I
It's listen, I had a little spiel about it a couple weeks ago on the show. It's for me, it's my favorite sport now. I always talk about the butterflies I get when a big main event fight is happening and you're just anticipating, and it's just these two warriors getting locked inside a cage in front of millions of people in their underwear to fight. It, it's it's insane. It's insane. I love this sport so much.
and they
It's the
don't be.
fastest rising sport in the world.
It's one of the fastest rising sports, but I'm of this and like this shit is horrible. This shit is a bloodbath, bro.
It
Like
is.
it's
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 not for the faint of heart.
it's not for the faint of heart, and it's highly debatable if it should be a sport or not. Because like genuinely, you're paying these guys to destroy each other.
Yep.
Like it's genuinely
No,
insane.
it is. It's insane. You got to have a couple screws loose to be a fighter.
Not even a couple.
Really?
You got a lot.
A lot. Yep.
No,
I
there's
always love the
a
pictures
lot
of
of literally every people that seen like the big UFC, like the big UFC like comps. When you hear them talk, they literally like, I'm ready to die in the ring. I don't care. I'm just like,
Yep.
dude, that's insane.
Yep. Art of War. John is speechless. John is speechless. I always love the pictures on Twitter and stuff where I say there's a picture of a guy or a woman with her face completely mauled up, and it just says, "So you want to be a fighter?" No, you don't. Don't.
As Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah, but Mike Tyson also got a multiple personality disorder, bro. Like, there's generally the regular Mike Tyson that's just very kind-hearted and a very sweet person.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he talked about how he cried before every single fight. Like, and then the moment like his trainer tells him like, "Let's go," he just switches into that killer. That the moment he gets in the ring, the only thing he cares about is making sure you don't get back up.
Yep. That's it.
It's amazing. Romain, do you have anything?
No, not. Oh,
this is your opportunity to promote all of your socials and what have you.
One thing I gotta say right now is Tyler Herro isn't getting traded this offseason. I don't see it
We
happening.
didn't get to that. We're so much on freaking Klay Thompson. That's supposed to be part of that.
One, he's not getting traded this offseason. I don't see it happening. There's not one. He's our biggest asset, and right now we can't use him to get our biggest two targets, which is Donovan Mitchell or KD. There's no reason to move him other than if it's for one of those two. So
he just doesn't fit your defense though at all.
But that's the thing though, is that he's only 22. And the thing he's like,
but he's not gonna grow longer arms. And
instinct. No. He got stronger. He can get even stronger. He got stronger. That's why his finishing got as good as it did this year.
Okay.
That was the hole in his overall. His jumper, mid-range jumper, and 3-point shot really didn't take that big of a drop or a leap. It's just he got more attempts and his finishing at the rim got a lot better, which is why you saw the scoring jump. So he got stronger in that way. And overall, his defensive impact this year was better than the year before because he got stronger. It's just I remember that year where Alec Burks, they had the report that he not only added 6 inches to his vertical, but like his lane agility went down by about half, close to a second, and his overall, I think full court sprint got dropped by something. Like he got a lot more athletic, and I think that's somewhere. And you see Alec Burks. Alec Burks isn't the most athletic person in the world, but like Tyler Herro can take that type of athletic leap. And I'm not saying he needs to be elite. No way. There's nobody on this team that you'd want to stick Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum one-on-one for a full game other than Jimmy or Bam. Obviously, there's very few defenders in the NBA you'd want to stick them one-on-one the entire game. So obviously Tyler's going to still be the guy you hunt out, but I want to be in a role like that Steph space where even if you hunt him out, there's going to be possessions you're not going to get the better of him because he's still at least a neutral to good defender. And I think he can get there at least. Like he can get faster feet. He can't get longer arms. He can get faster feet.
That's not coming.
The
T-Rex arms aren't changing.
He's not even T-Rex. It's just his arms the same size as his height. He's normal. It's just the NBA has a bunch of freaking demigods. He can get faster feet, and he already has the good defensive instincts. He just doesn't have the body and the athleticism to respond, but you can tell he has good defensive instincts. Like he's a very high IQ player. I'll give him that. So overall, I think he can become a better defender, and he's gonna be starting this year. I don't care what anybody says. He's definitely starting. So he's probably gonna have an even bigger role on offense, or maybe the same role because you're gonna have to share shots with Jimmy now. But Jimmy is willing to just take a step back in the regular season, so I don't
Yeah.
think that will be a problem for him. So offensively, he's either gonna get better or stay the same. And defensively, I do expect him to get better. So his trade value probably is going to be higher next year, which is a good thing. And I know we're trying to win now with Jimmy, but right now trading him is not going to be the best option. It just doesn't make sense if it's not for KD or Donovan Mitchell. And other than that, nah. FLB on YouTube. Right now, I think if you tap in I think mine is the first. I think there's a rapper, and then my channel. So the red logo with 3,000. So that's me. I make NBA content all over. I was going hard this month is a little bit lower because I've been working on some bigger projects. I've been uploading maybe like twice a week, but before I was uploading like 5 times a week, and I'm trying to get back to that for September and during the season. So if you like basketball, you want to keep up to date with the season, subscribe me over there. Twitter, I'm as active as I am on YouTube on there, and that's FLB_9. So you can go follow that too. But yeah, that's really it. Right now, if you're Miami, you can have a D Wade video that what's today, Thursday?
Thursday.
If I work on it today, it should be out by Saturday. I have a LeBron one that should be out by Sunday or Monday of next week too. And those are probably the two biggest projects. Both of them are over 15 minutes. So highly produced too. So if you ever want to check that out, there's that.
We throw up the graphics, so they'll see it all.
Overall, there's not really much else. I haven't started or consistently started. I only have one episode out, and that was like 8 months ago. So don't really have a podcast or a second channel. So it's mostly just basketball. So that's really it.
Thank you again for coming on. We intended for this to be an hour and a half, and we're gonna get into Tyler Herro, but we got into a crazy Klay Thompson discussion.
Hey man, I'm always down to talk basketball. Any other time you want me on, just let me know, for real.
And you did enlighten me. I've been a little bit disrespectful to Russ, and I didn't even take into account some of the stuff you were talking about. So, I mean, I'm super glad we had you on. Be sure to follow him on YouTube. It's some of the best content out there by far. I mean, I've seen a lot of great content creators, and you are on the rise. I honestly do think in the next 6 months you will pass up that rapper in the search engine. So
no, not even 6 months. About the next like 2 months. Like 5K subs is probably all I needed to probably pop up more than him.
I think you got it. I think it's all about the continuity, and you're getting there. So thank you guys again for staying. This was episode 18 of the Wise Guys podcast. Be sure to follow Romain and us on Twitter. And as always, we'll see you next time.